This is the ATI Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the ATI Podcast, Episode 3, Season 2. I'm Barrett Lewis, as usual, and he's not Josh Welch, of course. He's Brandon Stuart. Brandon's back with us here for Season 2. How you doing, Mr. Tom Tickle?
Hey, everybody. You know, the one thing I can say about Josh Welch, God rest his soul, is I remember a time where that man shit his pants, tried to hide it by throwing it in a garbage can in the kitchen, and just playing it off like it was nobody else's business.
Yeah, that was definitely Josh that did that, not you, for sure.
Tragically aware, Barrett. Tragically aware. Yeah.
And, and then I blamed it on a poor, defenseless beagle dog and threw it outside on the count of
clearly
the shit that was streamed.
I mean,
yeah.
That's
exactly
the
what
type
happened.
of character that you're dealing with whenever you talk about Josh Welch.
Yes, absolutely. So, Brandon, this is your first experience with us here in the second season of ATI Podcast. What's been new in your world since you hooked up with us?
Well, currently I'm doing a competition called Smash Bash. It's a around the world competition for the art that I do, and I'm working on my entry. It's due late April. So I've been plugging away at that. I've taken a little bit of a break. But I've been popping on like different things. I know our friend Danny is Just Two Movies. I've done a couple of segments with him since. Having a good time over there. He's clearly, he wants to be called Vin Diesel from now on. If anybody here is...
The similarities are striking for sure.
Well, yeah, if anybody's friends with Danny, I'd really appreciate it if you'd just be like, hey, Vin,
family forever.
Family. Yeah, if you could. But other than that, this is the beginning part of the piece right here. If you can't see it, I'm going to post it.
Very cool.
Once I get done. And it's the premise is what you think of your mother.
Oh, okay. That definitely resembles your mother.
Yeah, it's
kind of stark. Yeah.
Yeah.
The very first impression I had of your mother when I met her was some miniature king on the throne riding a shark creature out of the abyss.
Yeah. No, that's what postpartum will do to you.
Yeah, son of a bitch. Well, we are knee deep here in season 2 already, and we've had a lot of things moving. But I know in your world, Brandon, as you mentioned, you had a few things going on. Anything new or exciting that you've seen recently or watched that you'd like to recommend to the audience? I know you're always finding new shows and films.
I have to say, I was Nosabo,
yes.
Which was pretty good. It's
Ava Green, Mark Strong.
Not anything striking, but Mark Strong and Eva Green are both phenomenal in it. The big thing we're rewatching right now is we're rewatching Party Down right now. Trying to get on top of that. We also like to watch a thing called Trash TV, which we have recently come across the trashiest show on the planet, which is MILF Manor, which involves their own children, pointing them in the direction of a young male counterpart from a separate mother.
Okay.
So several of the individuals get to witness their mom gyrate over the other children.
Strapping young lad. Okay.
Yeah.
Very good.
That is the highlight of my year so far. The other thing I would I'm sorry.
Party Down. I said, speaking of Party Down, have you seen the newest episode yet?
I have not. I'm waiting
Okay.
so that my wife and I can get caught up. Or, well, I'm caught up, but she hasn't seen it before.
Right.
But I'm hoping that we do soon so that she can get on top of that. The other thing
That ain't the only thing.
Megan was it was good. I think if I was around you guys, we would have laughed our asses off.
Yeah. Did you watch the PG-13 or the non-rated version? Because I believe there's a non-rated version that's been released.
I don't know if I've seen the non-rated version.
Okay.
It's a good question. Because I did see, there's a couple of good kills in there, don't get me wrong. A couple of hilarious kills. Like, I felt like I was watching Gingerbread Man a couple times. We've had some good laughs over that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I've been watching lately. Just waiting for Last of Us and
Sure.
and
How about Mandalorian?
so
Yeah,
I did
Mandalorian
not
last
get
night.
to watch this newest episode. I actually forgot that it was coming out.
Honestly, I wasn't even sure, and I saw some talk of there being layovers, so I Googled it, and it was like, this was yesterday. I was like, oh, it's tonight. So I watched it. Yeah, it was pretty good. It just kind of continues, spoiler free, where the story left off, and Mando's just trying to get his, I guess, Mandalorian status back, just to put it simply. So that's what the season appears it's going to be about.
It's just really hard for me to care as much whenever we just got done watching Andor, which was one of the best shows of TV last year. So
yeah, without question. Yeah, it's funny whenever you start to see, those episodes and those series that are a little bit more rooted in realism, and you start to not care about the other stuff as much. Not that it's bad, but it's just that's at least where my attention and focus goes towards, is the more serious stuff. Well,
I agree.
We of course are going to be eventually today welcoming our new friend Mando Franco, writer director of Evil Panda Films. But before we get into all that jazz, we're just going to hit on some current event topics. One of our favorite people to shit on, we got to talk about Matt Gaetz and the proverbial putting his foot in his mouth. The adult version of Eddie Munster, of course. Did you see this, where he was trying to promote Chinese propaganda and have it submitted into, I guess, during session that they were having, actually during a committee hearing? Brandon?
Yeah, reading this before before we kicked off earlier today, I did not know about this, but I want to make this reference in there for anybody that has seen Matt Gaetz's plastic damage caused by fire to plastic face that Matt Gaetz has. I always think of him as any guy from Ren and Stimpy. Any salesman from Ren and Stimpy.
Right.
It's like, hey, ooh. Yeah. It's always that, like, 50s generation man that's just trying to come off like he's not a fucking sleazebag.
Yeah. I thought that they were actually going to hire him for the reboot of The Mask. Now, The Mask, the movie which I'm referring to, of course, starring Cher in 1980s with Eric Stoltz. And, they wouldn't really need much prosthetics for Matt Gaetz to play the lead role. So
no, he's definitely there.
But yeah, so Matt Gaetz actually tried to include an article from the Global Times into record. And now the Global Times is a communist propaganda machine acting in the interest of the Chinese government. So obviously they gear their news articles, pro-China, anti-everybody else. And this was during a committee hearing. But as it turns out, that's not his only problem on Capitol Hill right now. And as the Rolling Stone reported, Representative Swalwell called Gaetz out for inviting Corey Beekman, a combat veteran, to lead the Pledge of Allegiance ahead of the year's Judicial Committee hearing. So this is a quote from what Gaetz said. "It is my pleasure and distinct honor to introduce to the committee staff Sergeant Corey Ryan Beekman, an American hero and a constituent of mine residing in Pensacola, Florida." Well, as the representative pointed out on Tuesday, Beekman is actually an accused murderer who wound up in a standoff with police.
Oh, wow.
Republicans, am I right? I mean, no, American hero.
No, I mean, no, he's a good, I mean, actually what what Republicans are advocating for is to keep on these mass
insurrections.
shootings. So,
and
these mass shootings. I mean, they're all about killing kids and everybody else. So, I think it's right nice flavor for them.
Yeah, just right in their wheelhouse right now.
Yeah, vanilla.
Speaking of the Chinese and other foreign affairs, so I think this is kind of complicating some things in our friend chat today. We hit on this a little bit. That is that the Saudis now are stepping up to assist the Ukraine in their fight against Russia. So that's kind of interesting because, a lot of people are contingent and reliant on the Saudis and for their economy, U.S. being one, quite frankly. China right now, too, has become pretty big trade partners with the Saudis. And the Saudis, probably with the exception of oil, but they're just as big, producers, are, the Saudis are probably one of the more predominant countries that actually provide China with resources. The Russians, of course, we've talked about it probably in prior episodes here, but the Russians and Chinese relationship, they have a natural gas pipeline going over from Russia to China, supplying them. So Russia does actually, produce quite a bit of gas to the world. But now with this kind of interfering in things, I mean, it could lead one to believe that maybe China is not going to be so vehement about backing Russia in their foreign affairs right now against the Ukraine. So it definitely complicates things that's going on right now between the Ukraine and Russia specifically.
Yeah, I think so. And I also think that the main problem that Russia has right now, to add on to that news, there's another news story where Steven Seagal has been given an award by Putin himself in the middle of a war, recognizing his character and his contributions to human society as a whole, which I find to be wonderful in every single...
To the mother country.
Yeah, that's definitely his mother country. Go there. But the Saudis, like I said in the chat, I think that this is, they got their fingers in everything. I don't know if this helps China to back down. You have a weak Russia, then China doesn't have as many allies as what they would want, I would think. Sure. But I also think that Saudi's playing everybody. And I think that
100%.
Whenever you got a super powerful country that we have a firm belief that they helped with 9/11, and yet we're sucking at the teat of them.
Should tell you everything that you need to know, right?
Pretty difficult to read anything else about this situation.
Right. Another thing, too, while we're on the topic of Russia, so I don't know if you saw this, too, but Russian soldiers, are starting to post videos online pleading for help from Putin directly, detailing the incompetence of their regimes overall. This particular unit that was publicized on CNN here in the last few days had been replenished 6 times with other soldiers and rations, and still are getting their asses handed to them. And it's just, it kind of goes back into the incompetencies. They were sent out with MREs that were expired, tanks that didn't work, So, I know, here domestically, a lot of talk, especially in these rural areas of Missouri that we're from, specifically Josh and I, that there's a lot of people, fear-mongering over Russia and what they might do, I'm not, as far as advanced as they are and as how quote-unquote well they're doing over there in the Ukraine right now, I don't know that it's worth losing a ton of sleep over. Don't get me wrong, Putin's jackass and volatile and has a God complex, so you can never, count on what those people can and will do, but as just another item in the long list of things that Russia's doing wrong right now.
Right, and I think that the one thing that I don't want to be a fearmonger at all, and I don't want to lean into those things. The one thing that I can say from a separate perspective, from a different job point of view, is that that individual has several people behind him that possibly could be tired of his shit and don't want to see nuclear war and their families die.
Right.
So they might off them themselves.
Yeah, for sure. In other news, moving on from foreign affair related type stuff, St. Louis City SE, that's our soccer club, folks, our first season, our first game, we won on February 25th against Austin FC 3-2. Austin is a legit good MLS team and franchise. They were a Western Conference finalist last year, and Austin FC actually possessed the ball 60% of the time during the game. So that's pretty impressive that we won that game because we're basically an expansion team. On top of that, that jumped us up in the standings to 19 right now in the MLS Power Rankings. We were at the bottom to start the season. And then our next game is going to be against Charlotte FC. That's this weekend, this Saturday at 7:30. The first home game for St. Louis at City Park Field in STL. You know St. Louis is going to be popping.
Hell yeah, man.
For sure.
I wish I was there. I would love to watch that.
Yeah.
My dad was always a huge soccer fan growing up. I grew up around it, watching it on TV, listening to my dad's white ass yell goal. It's pretty cool that St. Louis is making do with what they have and basically telling Cranky to go fucking suck a dick.
Right. I think that's kind of the silver lining here is because, we moved on from that whole toxic situation. It allowed us opportunities like this, and I think there's more opportunities come. One of those opportunities being the fact that we have a awesome XFL team, the Battlehawks, and they are now 2-0. Caw is the law. Another comeback win. And, man, we're starting to be, and we went up against one of the most prolific offenses to date in the XFL. That's the Seattle Sea Dragons. Their quarterback's leading the league in passing. And our quarterback, AJ McCarron, he has been a stellar leader. He's been calm under pressure. All these post-game interviews that he's been doing and stuff. What a likable guy, dude. He's just out there playing so his sons can see him play because he could be on any NFL team as the number 2 guy and make probably more money as well and never play, but he just wants to play. He wants to play on TV. He wants to play in front of his sons. Absolutely.
I think it's pretty, it's funny how St. Louis has become this kind of mecca for a lot of sports lately. And especially whenever we were growing up, it was always baseball and hockey and football. But
right.
It's awesome to see St. Louis rejuvenated and feel like
Sure.
It's actually a place that you want to there's tons of people moving to it. Hopefully not too many.
Sure. And St. Louis has been a city that's drastically started to decline in its population, people moving away, seeking other opportunities, whatever the case may be. But I am looking forward to Sunday. We're going to be playing the DC Defenders. Now, for whatever reason, there was an article that was posted. The DC Defenders are supposedly, allegedly, according to a social media research, the most popular XFL team. Now, I'm going to go ahead and doubt that. Especially, I would guarantee you the way that St. Louis is trending, that's going to change. So I'm curious to see what the turnout's going to be like because we had St. Louis people travel down for the first game in San Antonio. There was a good showing of St. Louis people there, and I was pretty surprised, So we are one of only 3 teams that are 2-0. Now the Defenders are another team that's 2-0, and the Roughnecks, which is Houston, are also 2-0. So after this weekend, there's only going to be maybe 1, maybe 2 undefeated teams. We'll see how it goes. But
nothing like the Roughnecks, the hometown of the good old man Ted Cruz, who has the slimiest neck known to mankind.
Well, that slime would infer smooth, so they really got the name wrong if they want to name it after
him. Rough slime. Well, a bullfrog has gotten some bumps in there.
Well, that's true. And he's got that stubble, that sweet, sweet stubble.
Well, he would not represent the city of Houston is what I'm saying. Houston is a good old-fashioned city, a lot of culinary experiences there, and tons of it's very diverse, which is where Ted Cruz does not belong.
Yeah, and speaking of Ted Cruz, I don't know if you've noticed the CPAC turnout, but then that's been an epic failure so far, apparently. And I guess it's just Trump, primarily people are there. I think Trump's closing the CPAC out on Saturday night, so I'll be curious to see how that turns out. But back on track here. Just real quickly before we invite Mando in today, I wanted to talk about the baseball change rules. So we don't really – there's the preseason's going on for baseball, spring training, if you will. The World Baseball Classic's about to go underway as well. So some of those players are leaving those teams to go practice with whatever country they're representing with right now. The big controversy right now is the pitch clock controversy. There are several rule changes. The bases are bigger this year. No shift allowed any longer. The DH becoming permanent was started really during the pandemic year, but full-fledged last year. So these are kind of the major changes. So when it comes to the pitch clock in particular, I will say I read it as being something, that was going to be a detriment to pitchers and a positive for hitters, but we've already come to find out that there's a strategy to be implemented. So I'm just going to hit the quick summary of the rule. The clock is 15 seconds with the bases empty, and the clock is 20 seconds with a runner on base. The clock starts when the pitcher catches the ball from the catcher, and the clock runs until the pitcher starts his delivery. So that's his windup, essentially. The batter must step into the box and must be ready to hit at least 8 seconds left on the clock. Violations by the pitcher are an automatic ball, and by the hitter are an automatic strike. So depending on where you're in the count, you might walk somebody, you might strike somebody out. So that's where it's going to really take another competitive edge and another competitive level. A hitter gets 1 timeout per plate appearance, and the pitcher gets 2 disengagements per batter. So that's stepping off the mound for peckoff attempts and that sort of thing. And the third disengagement would result into a balk. So again, pretty wild changes. Yeah. They actually tested this out last year in the minors, and it cut 25 minutes off per game. And it is cut 25 minutes off per game right now in the preseason. So it has been proven to be effective in speeding up the game. And that's exactly what I know casual fans, I'm a baseball fan. My biggest complaint is the games are too long. They do not need to be that long on TV. They half-ass it for the first 5 innings, and then all of a sudden they start playing competitive baseball about the 5th, 6th inning. And I think this is going to speed the game up. It's going to add a new layer of strategy, and I'm curious to see, who excels with the new rules.
By then, half the fans are completely obliterated anyways. I think moving this up and putting an extra challenge on these guys is pretty sweet, actually. I think it's, especially for pitchers, we were talking about before we started broadcasting, that it's just such a pain in the ass whenever people just take their fucking time with things.
Absolutely.
And make it just a personality about themselves. It's cute. Okay, we've had it for years. Move on.
Absolutely. So with that being said, guys, we are going to take a quick break here, and we're going to welcome in Mando Franco this week onto the ATI Podcast as our special guest for episode 3. Stick around. Hello, and thank you to all of our followers for joining in, and hopefully you heard Brandon's moans of passion to introduce you into the show, because we would want it no other way, of course. We are the ATI Podcast. Brandon's joined me today as co-host. Josh is deep in the jungles of South America, trying to discover a cure for AIDS. So he's on his humanitarian work, of course. Yeah. We gotta leave him to it.
It's building a house. One house.
One house. Yeah. So apparently that's more important than what we have going on today. And what we have going on today is speaking to Mando Franco. How are you doing today, sir?
Splendid, sir. I am rolling. How are you?
I'm doing great, sir, and thank you for joining us today. Mando, of course, he's a filmmaker. We've been talking about his work. We've been sharing a little bit of it here and there, sharing his IMDb links and things like that, and where to check out his work up to this point. If you haven't checked out his work, no big deal. We're going to have those links embedded in the episode details at the close of the show whenever we go to post those things up on YouTube and podcast feeds, so you get that chance. And we're also going to talk about some events that are coming up at where you're going to be able to see his work, especially if you're in the St. Louis area. So just to get things started off here today, Mando, aren't you originally from the LA area?
I am. I'm from the LA County area, the small little suburb no one ever heard of called Monterey Park. What's kind of cool about it is, I was going to say, I'm fucking surprised because most people have never heard of it. The cool thing, the claim to fame about Monterey Park is Pat Morita, Mr. Miyagi, lived in Monterey Park for many years.
Yeah.
Bolo Young, Chun-Li from Bloodsport also lived there, may still live there. And they shot part of Black Sheep with Chris Farley down the street from where I grew up.
Oh, wow.
Those are like the cool things about Monterey Park.
So we don't let it go. You said earlier that you were rolling, Mondo. Is this one you would refer to as on ecstasy? Because I would recommend that you drink a little bit more water.
No, I've never done ecstasy. I was mainly saying that because I am morbidly obese. So,
oh my God!
Okay. Coming in.
If no one else did it, I did it. But here, now we got the elephant out of the room, so we can continue. There's someone on Twitch. There's someone at Twitch right now probably saying that same thing. So I just beat him to the punch. Okay, so now we're done with the fat jokes. We can move the fuck on.
Yes.
Well, you did mention that you wanted to fight us both before we started this podcast. So
no,
he is a little surly.
No, I said you're second and third place. Tucker Carlson is first place.
Okay.
Oh wow, you compared us to that. That's wonderful. I'll shut up now.
But no, born and raised Monterey Park, California, just outside Los Angeles, East LA. And I've been out here in the St. Louis metro area for 8 years now.
Okay. Yeah. How do you like it? How's the change for you?
You guys have Dunkin' Donuts.
There is that.
So
I mean, we got a lot of other things, man. I mean, you know, you get your fucking Lion's Choice, you get your fucking
toasted ravioli.
Yeah, I mean,
like,
I gotta say the rush hour traffic is nowhere near as bad as LA rush hour traffic.
Oh yeah.
Like people talk about rush hour traffic. Like I was stuck in traffic for 15 minutes, motherfucker. Try it for like an hour and a half to get 5 miles.
Right.
You know, like that's traffic. So, and y'all have seasons.
Terrific. Yes, we do have that.
You know, we got a torrential
high crime rate
that's supposed to happen tonight. Hey, well, we're matching the high crime rate. That, you know, forget LA is where Compton is and South Central is. That's where NWA comes from.
True.
Home of the Rodney King riots.
That is also true.
Yeah, fucked up.
We have Michael Brown, so that's more recent.
And John Goodman.
And yes.
So apparently we're winning in this terrible battle. In this shithole of a battle. Thank you for pointing out our one redeeming quality about St. Louis.
And it wasn't John Goodman, apparently, for the record.
Well, John Goodman is a treasure. Like, I'm honored to call St. Louis home because John Goodman is from St. Louis.
Yeah, John Goodman's the man. James Gunn, another lovely St. Louisan.
Is he
John
really?
Hamm?
Yes.
I didn't
James
know
Gunn
John
and John Hamm as well. Yes, yes, sir.
Wow.
Yes, sir.
I'm in great company.
Yep, St. Louis proud. Yeah, absolutely. So what drew you to coming out to St. What was the reason for the change coming out to St. Louis from LA?
Well, my now wife and mother of my child, then girlfriend, is a writer and just wanted to explore and moved out to LA with some friends, and we met out there. And she's from Belleville, Illinois. Obviously, if you know anything about living in Los Angeles, it's fucking expensive. And so she wanted to move back to the Midwest. And I was like, well, I don't want you to leave because I'm kind of attached to you now. So in a non-Dateline sort of way, just kind of started following her home. I mean, you know, we took long walks. Only one of us knew about it. So...
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Let's get more into that.
Yeah.
And can we pull up the APB on LA in 2000, just to make sure that you can steal her away?
I mean, you know, it's just statistics, natural selection, shit happens every day. But,
absolutely.
Basically, it's just I just kind of felt that I didn't. You know, I have roots there. Obviously, my family's there. A lot of my friends are there, and I started my career there. But I don't know. I just like Good Will Hunting, man. I had to see about a girl. That's pretty much what it came down to. Yeah. So,
well, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that at all.
You have a striking resemblance to Matt Damon. So
Matt Damon.
I've been told.
I do want to point that out. Yeah,
I've been told.
It's the jaw.
That's a job.
This is the job.
I thought it was my bright golden locks, but I'll take the job.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean,
Definitely.
we can't see those clearly, Mondo.
Oh,
So,
it's first date.
while
you're
We're
in
in
LA,
the
of
courting
course-
period. I can't just take it off.
well,
being
you can.
Being from LA, Mr. Franco, I'm sure that the Hollywood stardom dream it seems a little bit more reachable, attainable to a lot of those folks in that area, if you will. Yeah, right. I mean, at what point did you feel like, hey, I want to be a filmmaker? Was there anything in particular that you'd seen in your childhood, or you just became a fan of certain films, directors? What kind of led you on that path?
I mean, I grew up just loving movies. So my family is just big movie people. There's a difference between movie buffs and cinephiles and just people that like movies.
Right.
My family were
Sure.
very much just people that liked movies a lot. So, we used to go to the movies all the time when I was a kid. My mom, unfortunately, would teach us the process of movie hopping. Sunday after Catholic Mass, we would go to the movie theater and proceed stealing and breaking and doing a sin, and just start jumping from theater to theater.
Go.
We get there around lunchtime and leave, and the sun was down. We'd watch 3 or 4 movies on a Sunday afternoon.
Oh my God, man!
Wow.
Yeah, so I
What
grew
a
up
dream.
I grew up just watching movies, and I just fell in love with them. And I wanted to be an actor. I wanted to be the guy on the screen. I wanted to be Van Damme, even though that would never fucking happen. I wanted to just do cool shit, shoot guns and fight and just be cool. And
Well, you have one up on his intelligence. We'll give you that one.
Well,
You have one up on his intelligence.
Yeah, but anyway, I wanted to be an actor, so I took theater and all that shit. And then in high school, I was taking a creative writing class, and our final, we had to write a script, and we could either perform it in class or we could film it like a movie. And I was like, man, I performed my whole life. Let's fucking make a movie. That sounds cool.
Sure.
So I'm with a group of
Hell yeah.
friends who were in the class with me, and all right, who's going to direct it? And I guess I can do it. I know about movies. How hard could it be?
Yeah.
It's fucking hard. But
Sure.
we just did that, and I just fell in love with the process. I'm like, it's cool to be the guy in front of the camera, but it's even cooler to be the guy that makes the world and decides where the camera goes. And
Sure.
I just fell in love with the process. So acting took a back seat.
Sure.
I still do act sometimes. I still do stand up once in a blue moon when I have this inner ham that I need to get out.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I just fell in love with the process, and I just wanted to make movies. So I became obsessed, and the rest is history.
So after high school, did you go into any particular film study? Any school in particular?
It was very short-lived. I went to City College. I went to Pasadena City College for a little bit, took some theater, film history. They didn't really have... I'm fucking old. So 2001 is when I graduated. So at the time, there wasn't really a lot of hands-on filmmaking courses. There was more like TV production and film theory and stuff. There wasn't so much hands-on at the time. Now it's everywhere. But I took a bunch of film history classes and theory and stuff, and modern contemporary film art. And I was like, it's cool, getting to watch all these movies I would have never heard of, but I feel like I could save a lot of money and just make my own movie, and I can do this on my own.
Yeah.
And I then began the school of making a lot of mistakes and making some shit that I will never show anyone. So, and that's just kind of how it started. And, got slightly more competent as time went on. And even now, some people might say I'm still not that competent, but whatever. You can't please everybody. But
No, you can't.
Yeah. So I just, I don't know. I put it to rest a long time ago. I read someone's T-shirt that says, "I'm not bacon. I can't make everyone happy." I fucking agree. I mean, no one's bacon. No one can make everybody happy. So,
Especially now, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, everyone's a critic, and I remember the first time my shit was really out there was a Halloween fan film I made a while back and put it on YouTube, and some commenter just tore me to shreds. Not so much the movie, but me personally, and I have no idea who it was. And I was just like, I
Oh,
took
wow.
it to heart so fucking bad. I'm like, oh God, I can never go
Jeez.
outside again. I can never,
Yeah.
So, but then again, you get
Fuck those
over it.
people.
Right. But at the time, I was just
Yeah.
more like, my life's over. I'm done.
Because I like the short that you're discussing right now. I actually really thoroughly enjoyed it. I did a deep dive.
Thank you.
Yeah, I did a deep dive on all of your stuff. Did not get to watch the bigger one, the 20-minute one or 30-minute one. I tried to look it up on Mubi.
Boogeyman?
And then Barrett told me later that it was on Amazon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boogeyman's on Amazon?
It was at one point.
Oh,
I know.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Because I caught an interview that you'd done with somebody, Mondo, and they had mentioned that it was available on Amazon at that time.
Goddamn, I would love to watch that. But you got some chops from that. I don't know how long ago that was. How early on was that in your
The Boogeyman or Halloween?
Halloween?
Oh God, 2012. So
I mean,
a while ago, and that was like real quick. Like, hey guys, let's make a Halloween movie for a fan film contest. And
yeah,
right.
I love the Halloween movies, so I was like, yeah, that sounds cool. And we had like 4 hours to do it, and so it wasn't my finest hour, but it was a lot of fun. It's just once in a while I do still like getting together with people and just getting a camera and just 3 or 4 other people and just making shit because it's fun, So it was one of those cases where let's see what happens. We have very little time. Let's just throw it together and see what we can do. And we had a good time with it. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it, man. You can tell your love for the franchise. You can tell. I mean, the deaths in it were wonderful to me, and actually, there's some representation in there that a lot of people don't get to see. The woman in the wheelchair,
Alice, yeah,
that was in the film. Yeah, I think it was. I mean, for 2012, man. I mean, there's a lot of people that come up with shit on the fly and for a contest in 4 hours. I mean, I loved it.
Yeah,
thank you.
For sure.
I really appreciate that. I mean, it was fun to make, but I don't really if people's like, where can I see some of your work? That's probably the one thing I don't really try to show them because, again, it was made very quickly and very amateurly. But no, it was definitely a blast. I mean, we had a lot of fun doing that, putting that together.
When would you say that, your work started getting some attention? Because I know that you had opportunities, like in the early 2010s, you did some web series and TV series writing and producing and directing and that sort of thing. I mean, I'm sure that there was stepping stones prior to that. What would you say was some of your work that started to get you attention and afforded you these other opportunities?
I definitely would say the web series 813 is probably what kind of launched my mini career just a bit. I was just a dude making shorts and had no attention, and no one knew who the hell I was, and people still don't know who the hell I am. But I had a MySpace friend who
there you go.
We chatted about just movies and makeup and cosplaying and shit, and she's like, "Hey, I'm going to a meeting tonight, and we're gonna talk about doing a web series." And this is again like 2010-ish. I'm like, "Okay, cool. That sounds like fun." So, like, you want to go to this meeting? We're looking for a director. I'm like, "I'd be happy to help, sure." So I just knew it was about zombies. That's all I knew, and they wanted it to be from different perspectives in one night. That's all I really had to go with, and so I met everyone that night. I had some ideas, and I started sharing the ideas. Everyone really liked what I had to say, and so next thing I know, I'm on board as director, and next thing I know, we go to LA Web Fest, and we're like underdogs. No one knows who the hell we are. We take some awards, and we start getting published. Machinima picked us up and started releasing our episodes, and next thing you know, next thing you know, I'm fucking doing interviews and shit. I'm like, oh, okay, we're doing more festivals. We greenlit a second season because we weren't going to do a second season. And I only wrote those episodes. I only directed the first couple. But that's kind of how things kind of started. And then things really got bigger right after that when I did the Boogeyman, the Stephen King adaptation for the Dollar Baby program. that's when things kind of really took a next step. I probably
think a
gave
lot
you a
of
much
people
longer
now
answer than you needed. Sorry.
No,
that's great.
It's plenty to. I know a lot of people are going to hear this terminology, web series, and it might sound maybe even a little funky today. But there, right at 2010, that was a thing that was starting to become. There were shows like Burning Love, for example, if anybody remembers that. It was a comedy show, which I'm a huge fan of. It's got a lot of people that we're all fans of involved, people from What Happened, American Summer, and those cast of characters. But web series were starting to be developed, and money was being thrown at it because people were looking for that next thing in entertainment. What was going to be the next, big, money making device when it comes to cinema, and of course, advances of technology. Quality of internet streaming and bandwidth and that sort of stuff was blowing up and become more available in rural areas. So money was being put in stuff into things like web series at that time. And I know shorts, like in my youth, shorts weren't necessarily like the most popular thing. We were both, Brandon and I are close in age to you as well. I know shorts weren't necessarily the biggest thing. They were definitely a thing still yet, but even the Academy Awards didn't really start recognizing those until the last few decades, and start giving them the notoriety that they needed and the spotlight that they needed. But, shorts, I would say more present day, and you could correct me if you feel differently, but it seems like a lot of directors nowadays, especially the ones that I like, kind of start their careers off with the short game. And that usually is kind of their commercial into getting their features nowadays. Is that something that you saw while you were coming up, other directors as well, not just yourself, that shorts were becoming that marketing vehicle, that commercial to get the feature?
It could go either way. Now, but what I just started, I was just making movies to make movies. I never, when I was in high school, when I first started, it was just something that was fun. And then as I graduated and started getting in the real world and going to college, I'm like, well, I think this is something I really want to do. So I just kind of kept going with it. I didn't really have a map. And the crazy thing is there is no real traditional way to get it started.
Sure.
Yeah, shorts are great, but shorts aren't always necessarily key. Sometimes it's a script.
Right.
There's various avenues to get to it. I myself, I enjoy making shorts. I like the idea of, you just said it, you nailed it when you were saying that, just kind of making a commercial for something bigger. That's kind of what, at least in the last 5 or so years, have been about, making shorts that could lead into something bigger.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I took a bit of a break in between leaving LA in 2015 and coming here because I spent a few years not making anything. It had probably been about 5 or 6 years since I'd done anything. And then when I came out here, I'm like, I don't know anybody. I don't know what the industry's like over here. I don't know what the film community's like. I don't know anyone. I don't know how this is going to work. And then, after digging around the internet and digging around Facebook enough, you start to find little groups like St. Louis Filmmakers or St. Louis Filmmaker Showcase and like Webster, where apparently all the filmmakers went. And you're starting to learn about the communities. And a lot of them, they're making their own features and self-distributing. There are people out here like, Eric Stanzi, Trevor Younger. There are people out here that are James Dean, that are independent filmmakers, hardcore artists that are making their own film and self-distributing. So there's that avenue. There's a couple people that leave here and go to LA or go wherever, and they make something on their own. They write something on their own. They make it on their own, or they sell some shit. It's just, there's so many avenues to explore. I myself, to give you the short answer, because I'm just fucking going all around.
It's okay.
Yeah, I like doing the short films because it's fun and it's educational because I learn a lot. I've been doing this for over 20 years, but I'm still learning. I'm still growing. I'm still I haven't a good idea of what my voice is, but I'm getting a much better idea of what it is the more I make shorts.
Yeah.
And I have sprinkled in some
It's just
features. Go ahead.
It's just like anything else, getting your reps in and making mistakes, learning from the mistakes, whether it's on a small or a large scale. We've had a couple different filmmakers on the show, and I always like asking that question because I never get the same answer. because obviously, if you are a fan of film, and I know that, and you kind of nailed this earlier whenever you're talking about, you have people that are fans of film, and then you have cinephiles. There's kind of different levels to that.
Oh yeah.
I would certainly put myself maybe in the cinephile category because, I would find directors, especially in some very formative years for me, late high school, early college years. And I would go down the David Lynch rabbit hole or the John Waters rabbit hole or whatever, and just start knocking out that filmography sequentially. David Cronenberg, Darren Aronofsky, I would just start knocking those films out. And, I think you can really start to being a fan of film. Obviously you can learn from other directors, how they do things, how they present things. There's just so much out there now with advancements of technology, just a little thing like director's commentary. I remember when that started to blow up with like DVD features, for example. And at first, being a teenager, I'm like, that's so bizarre. Like, why would people want to? And then the first time I had listened to a director's commentary of all films, it was very first film I saw on DVD was Evolution, the comedy film.
Yeah.
The early
David
2000s. Yeah.
I still
David
remember.
Duchovny.
Yeah, David Duchovny.
Yeah, it's pretty good. But yeah, I was like, well, okay, now I see. This is fascinating. You get all these stories of things that happened on set, and they had to make this choice because of that, and and it was just kind of a huge eye opener for me personally. I know, and I know, again, us all being close in the same age, I'm sure some of those advancements in technologies have made it easier. It sounded like you got kind of caught in a weird window too with kind of the schooling and things, because I know like right after that early 2000s, like substantially film equipment started getting like cheaper to make because of the advancements in digital and so on and so forth. Like almost everything's predominantly shot digitally nowadays and not with real film too. And I know that's a huge difference maker. Are you married to any school of thought when it comes to that? Film, digital, have you had experiences with both?
I've only had one experience with film. An old friend of mine who I looked up to, he was a USC film student, and he did a short film. He's like, hey, do you want a PA or you want to help out? Because I know you like movies. I know you want to make movies. I'm like, yeah. So we go, and we're shooting 3-to-1, which is like 3 minutes for one roll. And it took fucking forever to change out the film. Yeah. And it felt like we had to roll to test it and then shoot. And then if the take didn't go well, do it again. And then next thing you know, we're out of film, got to do it again. So I remember that was the experience that it took fucking forever. Otherwise, my own stuff I've only shot on digital. I'm sure I'll do something on film one day. I'm not in a rush. I love digital. I like the speed. I like the cheapness. There's so many things you can do with digital nowadays. You can make it look like film and stuff like that. I'm not a purist because I'm, I don't really have a dog in the fight in the sense I've never really worked with film like I directed on film.
Right.
So I like digital. I mean, I watch all of Robert Rodriguez's film school special features on his Blu-rays and DVDs where you see what he does with digital filmmaking and how into it he is. And Fincher is all about digital, so I mean, there's a lot you can do. Sky's the limit. I don't think there's a right or wrong way. I think it's just what you believe and what you want to work with.
Sure. I think a lot of it has to do with workflow, of course, as well. It's like whatever workflow you're comfortable with, just like anything else. Like I know, for example, I had just listened to Brendan Fraser's interview on the Howard Stern show here a few weeks ago. And he's kind of on his awards circuit, interview thing for The Whale and things of that ilk. And he was talking about the differences in between, working with a Darren Aronofsky and what his approach was versus a Marty Scorsese, because he's getting ready to be in the new Marty Scorsese film as well. Right. And how, Marty, like they've got a court scene, for example, that they're filming in this. And he's got strategically has cameras placed throughout the courtroom. And it's almost like a play, and he's getting every shot that he wants to in that same setting. And there's not a lot of takes per se. Whereas Aronofsky, he'll get 10, 12 takes out of you, and he'll hammer a scene with you. And it's just, they're both fantastic film directors, but it's just different methodologies and approaches. Oh yeah. But, You know, and if you're dealing with film or versus digital in those situations, of course, that could be longer, brooding, more taxing on the actors, the set workers, you know, everybody involved too. People, there's more than just that person you see in front of the camera that a lot of people don't realize. And I know that's some of the art of being a director is managing those people and those personalities too.
Oh yeah,
And
totally.
I'm sure you could speak to that a little bit as well, sir.
Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of, I mean, the benefit of digital is just being able to just move at a pretty quick pace. You know,
Yeah,
I mean, it's just, you know, it's all about planning. No matter what, whether you're shooting on digital or film, you got to plan.
sure.
You got to have plan B and C, and if you can, D through J, because
Yeah,
shit
absolutely.
comes up, and there's always going to be a gear thrown, like a wrench thrown in the gear. Um, but yeah, no, I love digital, and again, I think it's just preference, really. As of right now, I definitely prefer digital. It's all I know, and for independent
Sure.
filmmakers who are on a budget or have no budget, I mean, it's the best course, I think.
What are some artists and filmmakers would you say probably like most influence your style or your vision or even inspire you creatively?
Okay, so I am. My favorite director is Alfred Hitchcock. Like, I fucking
Okay.
love Hitchcock. I'm a
Oh yeah.
huge Hitchcock nerd. Not even just like his like well-known stuff, like Psycho and Rear Window. Like, I like his shit back
Right.
to the silent days of The Lodger. I love Sabotage, not to be confused with Saboteur. I love Notorious. I like old. I love Hitchcock every through and through. I mean, not all of them were winners. You know, like his last film, Family Plot, I didn't think was that great. To Catch a Thief, I think is kind of boring. And everyone loves Vertigo. I don't really like Vertigo all that much. It's a good movie. I just don't love it.
Yeah.
Um,
I think some
that's
of
just
that
me.
film's the aesthetic. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think the artistic style behind, yeah.
I mean, it's well made. I mean,
Yeah.
he never crafted a movie bad. It's just not all of them were great, unfortunately. Um, but no, but Hitchcock is a mega influence. Every filmmaker, at least at one point, I mean, I'm sure there's probably a few that say no, but every filmmaker has got their Spielberg phase. They're like, I want to be like Spielberg.
Sure.
I love fucking Spielberg so much. Even now, I love his new stuff. I love his old stuff. I love Spielberg. I will always be a Spielberg fan. And it's unpopular opinion, but I fucking love M. Night Shyamalan. I will ride the M. Night Shyamalan train. Not all of his movies are great. There are some that we don't speak about happening. Lady in the Water,
Yeah.
After Earth.
Yeah.
But I fucking I love Shyamalan. Signs, Unbreakable, Split. The Village is criminally underrated.
I agree.
I love M. Night Shyamalan. And the two, like, I guess you could call them, like just random black sheep are, I love fucking, Sam Raimi and Kevin Smith. Those guys are fucking amazing. I love all their movies.
Yeah.
Now that you say that, we have a friend of the show, Doug Wicker, who we've all been friends with for years. I was going to ask you, there's one particular film that he hates more than anything on this planet, and that would be Tusk, because we both saw it in Fantastic Fest in 2014 or 15. How did you feel about Tusk?
It's an amazing movie until Johnny Depp comes in.
So I absolutely loved the movie to death.
Mhm.
And this is something that me and Doug will always disagree on. The body horror stuff is so wonderful to me. I love, I can't think of the actor's name right now, the older gentleman.
Michael Parks.
Michael Parks is so fucking genius, no matter what he's in. I love the movie so much. And Doug was ranting and raving about that at Fantastic Fest for like the whole fucking 10 days. But we get to see the opening of that, and that was I got to see it, and my then wife at the time, I was like, they just turned that motherfucker into a walrus. I fucking loved it, man. I loved it.
No, I love that movie too, but like I said, like for me, it loses a little bit of steam when Johnny Depp's character comes in. It kind of kills it for me. But no, I really like it a lot. I love Red State more because Red State is just like fucking all
I was
cylinders.
about
I
to go
love
on
Red
Red
State,
State.
So unlike
Yeah,
anything else
I
Smith
love
did
it.
before.
Red State was wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was fantastic.
but Tusk is really good. Like I said, I just wish they'd been more intimate. I like the idea of the two friends like Haley Joel Osment and Genesis Rodriguez going out to Canada to look for him. That's fine. The Johnny Depp character just kind of killed it for me. And I like Johnny Depp, contrary to all the shit going on in the world, but I like him as an actor. It just there are some choices in that one, and I was like,
right.
So
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you on that. Yeah, Red State, I think, is an underrated film nobody talks about. It was overlooked the year that it came out. And I know that too, at the time, was kind of during the big, like, you know, the skyquake phenomenons and everything else going on. So whenever they hear those horns at the end of the movie, too, it just kind of added to the ominous atmosphere while you're watching the movie at first and not really sure what's happening.
What's fucked up is if you watch that movie now, it's scary how much it holds up and how ahead of its time it is.
Oh, for sure.
1,000%.
Terrifying. Like how fucking right on it is right now, you know? Yeah.
Well, and it seems like every single time that I come on the show, we talk about politics in some way, shape, or form, and I go on some long-winded BS about my beliefs and how I should be listened to, even though I shit in my underwear while sleeping. But the one thing I can say, man, is you're definitely right. Yeah, I mean, you know, you gotta give a couple of deuces to that underwear. It's God given, right? But yeah, it's hair raising and it's awful. But at the same time, like I was showing Barrett this movie the other. I don't know if you've seen this film, Soft and Quiet. Soft and Quiet. But if you really want something that will hit you in the fucking throat, that's one you need to watch as well.
I want to see it. I read about it. I heard about it, and I'm definitely interested. But yeah, I know that movie's going to fucking rattle some cages for sure. I'm not the type that seeks to rattle cages or, you know, any of that stuff. I don't really make those kinds of films, but I applaud those that do. Like we need various voices. So, like, sorry, I'm making your comment about me all of a sudden. Sorry, but no, just saying. I watch everything. I'm very eclectic in my movie taste, so I have a very big heart for like independent films, especially things that are bleak and have an agenda. I'm very interested. I read about that movie, and I'm just extremely interested in seeing it because the acting sounds like it's amazing. The trailer or the clip I saw looked fucking insane. So no, I'm all about that.
It's effective.
Yeah, 2022 I thought was kind of a weird year in film altogether, and a lot of the best films weren't talked about at all, in my opinion. And that one is definitely in the conversation for sure as one of the better films of the year. The Righteous was another one that I thought was a really good movie, independent movie, first-time filmmaker, and he played one of the co-leads in the movie as well, and that was phenomenal, all black and white. I think that's like a banger of a debut for a director as well. But, you know, like back to your point, you know, movies, the cage rattlers, like those are the ones I always find myself drawn to personally. You know, I don't know what it is. Is it my upbringing, being in a conservative area? I don't know. Maybe I'd say that there's a lot of that. You know, Brandon and I back in the day as troubled youth used to create all kinds of trouble just for the sake of creating trouble. Yeah, just be a little disruptors, I guess.
Since we're talking about those kinds of, sorry, I was just going to say.
No, go ahead.
Since we're talking about those really cool independent movies that don't get talked about, there's one that came out in 2019, 2020, called Standoff at Sparrow Creek. And if you haven't seen it,
haven't heard that one.
Highly recommend it. It's about like it's set in a small town. It's all set in a warehouse, and it's apparently owned by a militia. And there's a bombing at a policeman's funeral or a soldier's funeral, and one of them did it, but they don't know who it is. So they're all just at the compound doing the blame game.
Oh wow.
and it's
Okay.
fucking killer.
That
Yeah,
sounds cool.
it's called
That
Standoff in
sounds
Sparrow
cool.
Creek. I saw it on Hulu. I don't know if it's still on Hulu, but
Okay.
definitely worth a watch. Small, independent,
Yeah, for
tight
sure.
ass script, well directed, well acted. No one bigs in
Yeah.
it that I can think of off the top of my head, but definitely worth a
Okay.
watch.
Yeah, dude. We'll definitely have to check that one out.
I'm all about that.
You know, Spielberg too. I feel like a bad cinephile because like I've never been huge into Spielberg personally. Like he's got movies that are good, of course. I can recognize that. Some that are great, but I know he has like a huge influence on a lot of other directors that I'm really into, and that like really go to the altar of Spielberg to like actually seek his advice and things. But I just don't know what it is. There's like a whimsicalness to his movies sometimes that just doesn't sit right with me. I guess it's the only definitive thing I can say.
I mean,
And I grew up on ET and stuff, but
oh, go for it.
I grew up on ET and things like that.
Yeah.
The only thing I can say that Spielberg, I don't even necessarily love his movies. I love his influence on the rest of the film community and what he did for several different directors that were working that time there. He would partner up with
That's
them.
fair.
What he gives to me, to the film industry, is not his film, in my opinion. What he gives is that aesthetic too, where we wouldn't have a Stranger Things, I don't think, if we didn't have Spielberg, right? He sets this whole childhood wonder, he sets that whole thing up where it's these kids who couldn't do anything actually can do something. And they do have a voice in what happens. And I think that Spielberg added that so beautifully to like anything that he would create. I mean, E.T. is something that me and Barrett drastically disagree on. And it's because I was raised on E.T., I think.
And he was raised on Mac and Me?
Yes,
Yeah,
totally Mac and Me. That
Probably.
same scene over and
Mac
over.
and Me.
Yeah.
Mac, Jesus. But yeah, no, I think that it's. I agree with you, so I'm half and half. I think that Steven Spielberg had definitely a very interesting perspective to add to several other people, and he gave a lot of people a voice where they probably wouldn't have had.
There's guys that I would say, like, I kind of echo that comment though too, like a John Hughes, for example, like the youth having something important to say and actually nailing the tone. I think like John Hughes, I mean, people know who he is, but I still yet think he's criminally underrated for what he brought to storytelling in general, and would set up, you know, and not to say that like the movies that followed him in later generations were even near as good as his or had the substance, but there wouldn't be so many hundreds of movies if it wasn't for John Hughes and the roadmap that he laid out. I feel like too, and you know, I still
Columbus.
think I think that Breakfast Club is one of the best movies that's ever been created as well. And whenever I fire off with that, people always think that's out of left field. They wouldn't expect that out of me, but it definitely is. It was a huge eye opener for me. I know the first time that I like watched it, paid attention to it from start to finish as a teenager, and I'm like, this is kind of like nailing some feelings that I'm having about, you know, like girls and, you know, things like that.
I have a boner.
Yes, I have a boner. Yes.
What is a boner?
But yeah, so like,
Sorry.
great filmmaker for sure.
Yeah, no, I love Johnny. I think anyone that writes dialogue or anything dialogue heavy has to have a little bit of a nod towards John Hughes, because that's one thing he definitely did was he fucking had some dialogue chops, you know. He knew how to craft characters extremely well that were very relatable. So like people like John Hughes, Kevin Smith, Quentin Tarantino, they're fucking Aaron Sorkin, fucking dialogue.
Oh yeah,
beings, you know. So I feel like John Hughes is definitely one of those dialogue people that like really, it's similar to Spielberg, just kind of opened the door and paved the way for a dialogue driven film. You know?
Yeah, for sure.
Spielberg, I think what's cool about him is his imagination and the vision that he brings, because it's unique. I mean, you could say what you want, but I think his take on things is very unique. talk about Jaws is a huge fucking tentpole in our house. We love Jaws in this house. We watch it every 4th of July, and I was talking about with other people too, like, what is Spielberg's best film? Well, I mean, I rewatched Schindler's List not long ago, and it's fucking amazing. But truthfully, my personal favorite is probably Jurassic Park.
Oh yeah.
One scene alone that is masterful is that whole sequence with the first T-Rex appearance when it's raining and the kids are in the car.
Yes.
T-Rex gets out. That whole sequence has no music. It is just pure vibe and raw.
Yes.
It is fucking terrifying.
Yes.
It is so powerful.
Yes, it is.
And reasons like that are why I love the man so much. You know, I understand your points of view, but no, but that things like
understood.
That,
yeah.
That's something that never goes away, right? Jurassic Park will never go away.
Yeah,
that's what I want to give to my kids.
Right.
Jurassic Park is a thing that I could not replace. That was the first movie I ever saw in theaters.
Yeah, I know I made what comments I made about Spielberg earlier, but Jurassic Park's one of my all-time favorite movies as well, too. So, and that scene you just described, too, like the hair standing up on my arms, because, again, it's one of my earliest, most fond memories of going to the movies, and this is the cinematic experience. Like, this is movie-going. This is why you go to theaters, is to experience this. I remember the reaction in the crowd and everybody just, and on the edge of their seat. The fact that there was no music, which I never really picked up on until I was older, that's in part what kind of creates the eeriness and all of that. Because, any other movie you would have seen at the time, they would have been hamming and cheesing it up on the score in that area with some loud horns, out of key and just kind of trying to build that suspense. But to know when to lay out, I mean, again, I got to tip my cap to Spielberg. That was a fantastic choice in that movie too.
Yeah. There's two versions.
But to give
there's like the fantastical side of him, but then there's like the raw, down and dirty, gritty, fucked up side. That's where you get Munich and Saving Private Ryan and Schindler's List, and then you get
And I personally love Munich.
Oh yeah, that's fucking bold
that's good.
Ass movie, man. That movie's good.
Yeah, a lot of people knock on it, but I actually really like it.
Yeah, it's really well made. I love Minority Report. No one.
Maybe it's because I was high, though.
I'm loving it.
Maybe it's because I was high that whenever I watched it, because I remember specifically with Barrett that I would talk about all the time. We would watch films all the time because I worked at a movie store, so we'd just be watching this shit, and half the shit that we'd watch, I'm like, "This is a good fucking movie, man. This is fucking." Just think about
one of the first times I ever smoked weed was with my buddy outside the movie theater right before we went in to watch Unbreakable. And
there you go.
That movie mesmerized me. I was like, it's so fucking deep, man. There are fucking superheroes and villains among us, man. I don't know. I was 16 at the time. I don't know.
Sure.
We've had similar conversations, trust me.
Yeah, for sure. Without question.
Yeah.
I think it was like that Stone Cold Condemned movie. Whenever we smoked the first time together.
I've never seen it,
but
I know enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can only watch it if you're
tutored, for sure.
If you're knee deep.
Yeah. And that's the bottom line. Stone Cold said so.
So let's get back into some of your work.
Yeah.
Mr. Franco, I know Evil Panda Films. Yes, let's talk about you. Some of the work that we got to check out of yours outside of what Brandon's already mentioned, of course, Death Scene. I really enjoyed that short as well.
Me too.
The thing that really stood out to me in that was the acting of the clown character. Like, whoever you got for that role was insane. But the acting, the facial, the facials in certain scenes, and I was just totally mesmerized with that performance. It just really stood out to me personally.
You know what's funny? That dude is not an actor; he's an accountant.
That's wild.
That's the fucking
it actually
thing.
Makes sense now.
Fantastic.
It actually makes sense.
That's why he comes off as a psychopath.
Yeah. Because his life is miserable as an accountant that he's become a psychopath.
That's funny. Yeah. So he kind of came in last minute. He was on the crew just PAing because another accountant was our DP and slash producer. And the guy we had playing the clown like dropped out like days before. And it's like, oh great, now we got to find someone that has the same size as him, is slender and tall, and
Yeah.
And he's like, I could probably do it. I'm like, all right, well let's chat. We did a Zoom call, and I was like, hey, smile, do this, do that. And I was just like messing with him, like, use your eyes, have a big smile, and just move your eyes around. Like I was walking him through a bunch of things to do. I'm like, all right, you can do it. And
did you go? Sorry, I'm not trying to cut you off, but did you go? Have you ever stood in front of your mirror in the bathroom and tucked your dick between your legs to your asshole and just smiled a bunch? And he's like, "Yeah, man, I've done that." Oh, you're in the movie.
Yeah, there you go. That was the deciding factor.
I hope Goodbye Horses was playing while that happened.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah, Buffalo Bill, baby.
Yeah, no, he was. His name is Jason Lee, not to be confused with the actor. But he was super cool, and I loved working with him. That was a lot of fun. But again, it was just kind of like out of nowhere because I'm like shitting bricks because it's like we're ready to film, we're ready to rock and roll. My clown's not in it anymore. What the fuck are we gonna do? And it worked out.
Was that the first piece that you did once you came over to Missouri, or was there another piece of work that you did before that?
So that was my second. The first thing I did over here was a Christmas slasher called XMASsacre.
Okay.
That was the first thing I did. That was like, oh, thank you. Yeah, that was fucking cold, 20-degree weather, snow, and not fun. But it looks beautiful.
Middle of Missouri woods.
Yeah. In Arnold. We were shooting that in Arnold, Missouri.
That's my stomping grounds.
Oh yeah, was it the Arnold State Park off Sunset or something like that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're shooting in the woods over there, and we did that. And then while we're in post, Jeff, who did sound, asked me, he's like, "Hey, do you got anything else? Let's do something small." I'm like, "Yeah, I got this little idea about this girl that falls asleep in front of the TV, and the character in TV comes to life." It's like, that sounds fun. Let's do that. Not realizing that I had a fucking vision for it, and it was going to take a lot of planning, a lot of visual effects, a lot of craziness. Yeah. So we shot Death Scene, which I loved making, and it was just every part of it was fun. And unfortunately, the day we wrapped is the day that lockdown began. So we literally wrapped as restaurants and bars started closing. I left the set, we wrapped, and I'm like, I'm going to hit the store on the way home, grab some milk for my son. There was no milk. There was no toilet paper.
Yeah.
That's the day, it happened. Like, oh, shit.
Sure.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, I know that affected a lot of people with in all walks of life, but specifically the film industry in particular too. I didn't realize that one was before the other. I guess I had them confused. But XMASsacre too, I don't want to gloss over, and the fact that I really enjoyed that too. I was kind of talking up to my wife because she hadn't had a chance yet to see it, and I was like, man, I think there's something to this guy. Like he really knows how to do it on a budget, especially with like some of the. I'm a big slasher fan anyways, as it is. And so I'm always looking for something, I don't want to say like new and original, but just a different wrinkle. And, there's been like a lot of Christmas themed horror things done in recent years in particular too. There's not a ton, in my opinion, that are great. I do enjoy this because as funny as it sounds, like how the short starts is a very like real life scenario that I've had play out at like my house or something. Like my wife and sisters get together, start wrapping presents and sharing a glass of wine, talking shit on this person or that person, or talking shit on each other or how they're wrapping gifts or whatever the case is. I'm like, these are real conversations right now, as silly as it sounds, that's taking place. And then just the whole reveal that one of the ladies is pregnant. So that kind of adds into the taboo that later that you see as the viewer, because this, not to give away the slasher, but there's an axe shot to the uterus at one point. So that takes it a little bit deeper in
which is actually what kind of turned me on to it. That was the thing that I was like, I went from 6 o'clock to midnight real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
Couple things about that. The first thing is, my wife Tabitha is the one that plays the girl that's like, "You're pregnant?" No, and then she gets shot in the face by Santa. That's my wife, which is ironic because
Oh, really?
she's a mom. She's a mom. Our son was like a year and a half, almost 2 years, about 2 years old at that point. So, which is kind of funny that she's like the anti-child person. The other thing was, I never thought about that. I mean, I have now, but for a while. But we're filming, and there's the axe shot to the gut. I remember when I started showing people, it's like, "Oh, it's fucked up." The inside messaging. I'm like, "What are you talking about?" It's like, "Oh, she was pregnant, and the baby's not going to make it, and then she's not going to make it. It's fucked up." I'm like, "Yeah, I meant to."
I meant that.
No, I didn't think about
That's the controversial angle that I'm trying to take for my films.
We'll just edit that part out. You got to read it.
Rattle them cages. No, I didn't think about it. I'm like, oh shit, I guess you're right. That does happen. That is pretty fucked up. So it added a whole nother layer of depth that I wasn't counting on.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh yeah, I meant to do that. That was that's my thought on right to choose. No, it just wasn't like it didn't register until later. I'm like, shit. So I guess I did it subconsciously, and I just didn't realize it. Then we were talking about, like, fuck yeah. I mean, that was always the plan. That was always in the script. I guess I wasn't thinking about it, But
well, I'd like to think that the director's cut is the baby coming out of the stomach that's been now opened up, and then it just reaching up to Santa Claus going, "Dada." And then instantly him just taking on this member, and they just have a normal life together after that.
Yeah.
Kind of like it's a prequel to The White Blood, pretty much.
Yeah.
There you go. But yeah, XMASsacre too. Another thing that I liked from it was too, like some of the dismemberment shots. I think it was either an arm or a leg, as I recall. The axe starts to swing down. It cuts away real quick, and you see it. But obviously, I'm a big fan of practical effects when I see it in stuff, and obviously, it's a little bit more common in shorts and where there's budgets in play and that sort of thing. But to do it right, do it well, use all of your tricks, if you will. To I just think it came off very credible. It wasn't one of those moments that like. I mean, I find myself commonly, unfortunately, because I've seen so many movies and stuff. I'm just kind of like, okay, yeah.
It didn't look like a fake leg, man. It really didn't.
It did not. Yeah,
it was
in person. It looked done fake as fuck in person.
Well,
sure.
I'm glad. I mean, that's the mystery behind shots in film. I mean, to me, that's that and the costume design for Santa Claus. I was like, oh, this is a different fucking level than I was expecting. Because I watched all of your early work on YouTube, and then I watched first Death Scene and then XMASsacre, and I was like, oh, I'm on fucking board now, man. Like, this is not even a fucking question to me. I love that shit. I'm not trying to kiss your ass either. I mean, a little bit. I'm trying to lick it. But what I'm saying, Brazilian butt porn. Remember we talked about it. Fart nonsense and shit.
Yeah, cake-based.
Yeah, well, you remember. They don't remember. But I'll definitely say, man, I was thoroughly impressed the progression of those things. It was dope, man. I found myself. I was sober. I had taken my sleep pill because I'm an old man, and I'm like, this is fucking good ass research, man. I'm fucking digging this.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it, and that's kind of. I got really comfortable back at home in LA when I was making movies with the same friends, the same crews, and kind of making the same things kind of over and over again. And some varied a little bit, but I was like, I took a long break, and like I wasn't sure if I was going to come back to filmmaking. And then I'm like, I got really hungry, and I wanted to make something. And XMASsacre happened to be my comeback movie, where I was like, I need to do something. I need to reinvent myself as a filmmaker. I'm in a new place. The outside, the snow, the weather's kind of inspiring me a little bit. I need to do something. And XMASsacre was like the first thing I did, after a 5-year break. So I came out swinging with that one. So I wanted to do something I'd never done, which is outside in the snow, fast paced, with a slasher.
Yeah.
Like I hadn't really done anything like that before. So I came at it from a very ferocious place, and it translated into the vibe of what the movie was. And, it's just a good old pure collaboration with my buddy Randy, who shot the flick, and then Josh, who helped me produce, but also took it upon himself to help me make the Santa outfit. I provided him with the Santa outfit. He's like, "You want me to fuck it up for you?" I'm like, "Yeah, let's
It came
fuck
out
it up."
great.
Yeah,
I love it.
I'm like, let's make it a bit of story. Like, he's been shot, so there's holes. I think he's had a Molotov cocktail thrown at him, so half the face is singed and half the sides all burned up. So that's why it's burned. I was like, in my backstory, someone threw a Molotov cocktail at him, so he caught on fire. So, and there's rips and blood here and old blood stains, and the mask is singed and it's ripped by the eye. And, so I basically, everything I drew what I wanted the mask to look like, and he did all of that. And then he had a couple of his own things he wanted to do. So, yeah, it was just pure collaboration and making all that shit happen. And it's funny you bring that up.
Down, man.
Yeah, go ahead.
The lead down from the mask. A lot of films you'll watch, they won't be as cohesive, like with costume design. Mm-hmm. But I could tell from the burn marks on the mask, leading down to the collar where jolly old Saint Nick has that white collar. I was like, this happened in one fucking go. This actually, I believe that something happened to this area of his body as opposed to just onesies, twosies all over the fucking body.
Right.
That's what I loved.
No, it was definitely meticulously planned. Myself and Josh had really took a look at it and talked about the damage we wanted to see and all that stuff. And we literally, at the end, just put it on the floor and just dragged it across the dirt. So there were times where he's moving, you see dust and dirt poofing off him. Mike David Smith, the guy that played Santa, you see the shit flowing off him at some point. It's really funny. But it's funny you bring that up because I have had that movie in my thoughts off and on. I've never seen it with a crowd, and next Saturday at Arcadia is going to be my first time seeing it with people. And because all the festivals we did were virtual. All the stuff we did was online, so I never got to see it with people before. But I rewatched it not long ago. I was like, man, I really got to make this a feature, and I've thought about it a lot. So I
think it has legs for sure.
Dude, I'd watch it down to, and I'm not again down to the axe, right? So a lot of things that you'll see in horror or film in general is that generic axe where you could buy it at Buckeyes or buy it at wherever, like Home Depot. Yeah. But this fucking axe is Grandpa had this axe for his entire life, and he had crafted it himself. It's down to that just really... Yeah,
the small details.
Really took me
I wanted
for a loop.
You can't really see it on the gun, but the gun handle had a white and some red masking tape on the handle of the gun, which you don't really get a good angle at, so you didn't really see it. The axe, I purposely put white and red duct tape so it looked like a
candy
cane, and put some blood on it and aged it up. Yeah, it was a rubber axe I got on Amazon. I just aged it up a little.
No shit.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It looks like a fucking real axe, man.
I
make dioramas for my art. I make dioramas and stuff like that. So translating, making something look like something else that it isn't is it blows me away every single time I see somebody do something like that. So yeah. Kudos again,
it was a blast. And I just basically, we've all seen slasher films, right? So typically they're just, they're blood and tits and gratuitous violence, which is fine. It's fun to watch, right? Me personally, I like the cat and mouse suspense aspect. That's where my inner Hitchcock fan comes in. So if I made a slasher film, XMASsacre is what it would look like. It's more of even the Halloween fan film, there's that moment of the blind woman trapped in a dark room with Michael Myers and all you're going off is sound and suspense. So I'm very much a fan of the cat and mouse. So XMASsacre sounds terrible. And I had someone watch it at a film festival one time virtually, and they were commenting on it. It was like a live stream. And they're like, XMASsacre was nothing like I thought it would be. It was not what I expected. And that was kind of the point. It sounds and looks like an 80s splatter flick that probably isn't very good. but I decided to flip it and use that as as like a facade for a serious
Right.
cat and mouse thriller. And I'm not trying to sound like fucking elevated above that shit. I'm not. I love the Friday the 13th sequels. I like Sleepaway Camp, anything like that. I
Yeah.
personally prefer to make stuff that's more suspense oriented.
Yeah.
But
Sure.
yeah, I mean, there's 31 flavors, plenty for everybody.
Some of the other work I wanted to point out too, while we had you, was I got a chance to look at 2 different episodes of Hair Raising that you had as well, and I felt like that kind of tackled some of the ideas and fables and horror lore, like for example, Bloody Mary. I would say that if anybody gets a chance to take a look at that short, I think it's very well done as well. In the sense that, I know we were all kids at one point. We probably heard the Bloody Mary story shared amongst ourselves to one another to try and scare ourselves or siblings or friends or whatever the case is. To actually see a depiction of it, and I don't think that I ever was as terrified or scared hearing that story as well as it was depicted in your short in and of itself.
Yeah.
Oh,
And one of the things that kind of came to mind too, whenever I saw it was, this is kind of an approach, and I don't know if the entire hair raising work is like this, but it's almost like Field Guide of Evil. I don't know if you've seen Field Guide of Evil. It's where they kind of go through and they take horror fables and they adapt them. Used to be available on YouTube. It came out a few years ago, but various directors have went through and they take whether it's like Ukrainian horror story or a Nordic traditional, and they adapt those for screen. And it's a bunch of short films compiled into an anthology film. But yeah, the Bloody Mary piece kind of came off like that to me in a sense too. Not that I, am inferring that's what it was intended to be, but to actually see Bloody Mary depicted, I don't know that it could have been much horrific than what you had in that short though too. So I highly encourage folks to check that out too.
Thank you.
If they want a good example of it. How did you come up with the idea of how you wanted Bloody Mary to work?
I basically I had the thought in my mind for a really long time. I wanted to make something because I know there have been like Bloody Mary nods and a lot of that kind of stuff done before. Candyman is essentially a Bloody Mary movie, just done in a different way. But I kind of wanted to do something that I like perspective and I like putting the audience in a POV where they're like there with my characters, no matter what I'm doing, especially in horror. I want you to kind of be there with them so they're learning things as you learn things. So I wanted to do a Bloody Mary, and that feeling you were talking about being a kid and playing it and being fucking terrified. I'm actually really scared of a lot of things. I'm actually very timid and very easy to scare. So that's probably why I make horror films. I mean, it's kind of like my therapy. There is a very small part of me that believes that Bloody Mary could not be real, but there's some kind of I'm a little superstitious, so the idea of playing Bloody Mary is stupid to most, but to me, kind of terrifying because I would chicken out on the 4th time saying, "I'm like, oh, let's turn the lights on, let's go." But I wanted to make something where you were like that third person in the bathroom with the 2 girls when they're playing Bloody Mary. That's why I turn the lights off and you don't see anything and you're just hearing their dialogue and whatnot, because I want you to feel like you're in there with them. And I do pull for a slight second. The audience knows, but the characters don't know, is the reveal shot of Bloody Mary standing behind them. Because, and I just thought, well, we've all seen a lady in white, and, that is a scary image, but how do we elevate that and fuck it up? So my Bloody Mary was a woman that was horribly assaulted, and they put a plastic bag over her head, and that's how she was killed. So that's what you see. You see a strangled, decomposing woman with a bag over her head, and it looks fucked up. It's probably one of my favorite things that I came up with, and it's definitely one of my favorite things that my old friend Shannon Manchin, back in LA, she's an effects artist. She did the makeup on the actor Kate Gaffney, who played Bloody Mary. That's probably one of the most terrifying visuals I've ever come up with, and I think it still works.
Yeah,
And you proved it
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
it still works.
Does.
So very grateful. So thank you for seeing that.
Yeah, is that the on YouTube so that people can find it?
Yeah, the Bloody Mary.
Is that the one?
For sure. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, folks, we're going to have this stuff embedded in the episode details. So if you're listening to us on the normal podcast feeds, whether that's on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, so on and so forth, we have URLs embedded in the episode notes. You can jump to that stuff from there. We will also be posting this on our social medias, too, for you guys to check out more of Mando's work as well. And just going to have a lot of stuff for you guys to check out. And I think we actually lost Mando here briefly, so we'll kind of hang in until he makes it back in. So just kind of recap what we've talked about so far. We've, as far as his shorts that we've talked about, Death Scene, XMASsacre, Hair Raising. He has these all available on the Evil Panda Films website. We're going to have that website URL up for folks to jump to as well, where he has these readily available for you to view too. And then also whenever Mando joins us back up, we've mentioned his name a few times, Doug Wicker, former guest of the show, our only 3-time guest, actually. Doug's participated on a couple of our panels, and then we also had a feature episode just on him and his short, What Happened to the Others, that debuted at the Chattanooga Film Festival. I believe Mondo's doing some work with him, so we're going to welcome Mando back in here.
Okay. I was like,
Welcome
what did
back,
I do?
sir.
Hey.
All right, we lost you for a second. Yeah, we just lost you there for a second. No worries.
Don't fucking do it again.
So what I wanted to get into next with you, I know we've mentioned his name a few times, and that's Doug Wicker. I know you know Doug as well, and you guys have done something, I believe, in the works. I've seen on social media. You guys were working on a project together. Is that right?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that? I think I lost you there for a second.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, I had noticed that you and Doug were kind of promoting some work that you guys were doing together over social media. What's going on in the project? What can you tell us about it?
Oh, Douglas Wicker? Fuck that guy. I hate that guy. No.
Yeah.
No, I love
Yeah, he's a piece of shit.
He's fucking
Real
awesome.
piece of shit.
So he's the biggest piece of shit that I loved. Doug and I became like just movie buddies over Instagram and just chatting and messaging, and then I he was talking about shooting, so I'm like, hey, we should work on something together. And I had a script for something called Bruja, which we shot a year ago. But anyway, I sent it over to him, and he read it. He was like, dude, I'm fucking in. I'm like, you don't know the specifics. There's no money or anything. He's like, dude, I'm fucking in. I'm like, all right, cool. Let's do it. And, we worked together on a short film called Bruja. We're in post right now. It's only taken a year, but we're finally in post on it. Bruja is kind of like it's a small, super, super intimate thriller. Bruja is Spanish for witch, if you didn't know that. I wanted to make a movie that had a little dab of my culture in it, because I don't know if you can tell, but I'm Mexican. But I wanted to kind of have a little dab of my culture, as well as do something that I love, which is some supernatural horror, and that's kind of really my jam. And I'm also into true crime. So Bruja is about an FBI profiler that's brought in to interview a murder suspect. The murder suspect is a woman who murders children and thinks or believes she may or may not be a 600-year-old witch. And that's where the movie is set up. So It's basically, my challenge to myself was, I want to do something very dialogue-driven. And how do I make something with two people talking in a room terrifying? How do I do that without any crazy effects or leaving the room? And I think we accomplished that. So with our actors and Doug.
So Mando, the question that I have, what does the word Mexican mean?
Border jumper.
Could you clarify that? Okay,
I can say that.
We don't like to have that language.
You can. See, if you would have said it, it would have been a problem.
I just wanted to know.
And I explained. We can move on. No, but yeah, it's just like, I mean, I'm very whitewashed, man. I barely speak Spanish, but I love my food, I love my culture, and we don't get a lot of it represented. And I got this really cool platform, and I've been making movies for a while. I'm like, you know what, I got to do something to integrate my culture a little bit. So I just went back and wanted to do something different, and I fucking am in love with the product. I'm really excited about it. Doug and I are great collaborators. I really loved working with him. Logan Cole, you've had on the show before. I was a fan of Logan's because I'd seen his work, and then I was already a fan of the guy. And Doug's like, "Hey, I know this guy named Logan. I haven't worked with him yet, but we've been trying to work together on something. This might be good to try to work something out." I'm like, "Oh, cool!" And dude, I'm already a fan.
Yeah.
And Logan's just the coolest fucking guy. So, Logan, Logan
he knows
came on
shit, for sure,
and brought some stuff to the table that wasn't even in the script. I'm like, "Oh, fuck yeah!" So it elevated it to a whole nother level. Now that we worked together and made Bruja, which is in post, I have a feature that I wrote and I've been dying to do. And I'm proud to say that we started rolling in January. We started shooting a big chunk of a feature film called Reaper Road. And we shot almost half. And then we're pausing now because my lead actress, Joanna, had to go to Italy for a project, and she's got a few other gigs lined up, and we're going to finish filming in November. And the plan is towards the end of summer, early fall, to crowdfund and get some money so we can finish making the movie, because Logan is cooking up some insane visual effects, like some insane stuff. And it's very much my love letter to like Blair Witch and Evil Dead. It's not found footage, but it's got an intimate vibe like the other things I've done has. So I'm really excited about that.
Fantastic.
Well, once you get to the crowdfunding stage of things, you guys keep us in the loop, and we'll definitely promote it out on all of our channels without question. Get people tuned into it.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. I don't know, have you guys ever had Jackie Kelly on your show? Okay. Oh, she's
I have not.
Fucking best, man. If you're in the St. Louis area and you're going to make a horror film, everyone calls Jackie first, because she's like,
she does makeup effects, right?
She's an actor. Yeah.
Oh, actor? Okay, because I know that there's somebody in St. Louis area, a female, that somebody was trying to turn me on to, and I couldn't remember her name. That was makeup effects. But Jackie Kelly, actress.
I've seen her before. Yeah. I've seen some makeup effects done on her.
She's done a lot of stuff.
I think that.
Yeah. Well, she's starring in the movie, and she's wicked fucking cool. I'm gonna butcher her last name, Joanna Fabrice. I forget. I'm sorry, Joanna. Don't fucking kill me. She's the other star of the movie. It's just the two of them, basically in a car. The movie, in a nutshell, is about two friends on their way home from a concert. They end up on a road that just never ends. So it's a horror movie. Oh, wow. It's like a haunted house movie, except there's no house. It's a road, and these two characters are trapped in a car. So it's almost like driving through the woods where Evil Dead takes place, or Silent Hill. So it's very claustrophobic.
Okay. Very good.
Characters.
Yeah, man. Very cool. I think Doug has introduced me to her in the past, as far as like through his Instagram or whatnot, with visual effects that have been put on her. But
yeah, she's the best, man.
That's crazy.
She's just amazing to work with. She's like gonna blow. Every time I talk to her, I'm like, don't forget the little people, because she's like always doing stuff. She's blowing up like crazy, and she's so fucking talented and deserves every bit of credit and recognition. And she works her ass off too,
Well, it's awesome to hear about other talents in St. Louis. I think we can probably have her on the show for sure.
Yeah, put in a good word.
Yeah,
I mean,
there's so many. The more I explore this area, and the more I get to meet people and learn about other people, there are so many talented motherfuckers out here. Like, so many people, like musicians and like Brad Sexton. Brad Sexton's. I met him through Doug. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He's Brad's doing music for Bruja, and he's got some really fucked up.
I was in a band with Brad Sexton for
Yeah.
a couple years.
Yeah, Brad's cool as fuck.
I was.
He's talented. He's talented as fuck
man.
too. So, and I.
Yeah, he is. He's a little fucking shithead too. He'll beat my ass in a fucking second, but he's done some fucking that man has a lot of influence all over all kinds of podcasts, all kinds of friends of mine. It's Just Two Movies is another podcast that we're friends with that he does music for. It's dope.
I've been very fortunate to meet some
sure.
really talented people. Eric Stanzi's another one. Larry Clodden's another one. Brock Russell. Like, there's just so many fucking talented motherfuckers out here. They're just awesome and cool, and I have so much going for them. I'm lucky that I'm seriously in their company, and I know you guys have a pretty good following. I've seriously heard a lot about your podcast. Just I was kind of blown away when you guys asked me to come on. I'm like, really? Oh, that's fucking cool. So thank you. I appreciate you guys having me.
Well, thank you, sir. We appreciate that for sure. Yeah, absolutely. It's been our pleasure, totally. And I do want to drive home the point once again, Saturday, March 11th, if you guys are in the St. Louis area. I know that there was just a piece in 314 Today, STL, that was published online. I believe actually former guest of the show, Andy Triefenbach, was posting it on his Twitter and through Destroy the Brain as well. But there's going to be, yes, he's a fantastic dude. The Arcade and Theater, where they've shown many different films in the past. Doug actually had his short shown there as well, but they're going to be doing free admission, and they're going to be showing XMASsacre there. So you will get to see Mando's work in person, live.
I'm going to be there too, so don't be shy.
And I would recommend that experience.
Yeah, I mean, I love the Arcade.
And I haven't had a chance actually to catch. I mean, I have caught a film there before, but it was like I didn't know what I was doing. I was at a show at the Heavy Anchor, and they were doing an Austin Powers showing next door, and I just happened to drift over, and I'm like, "What is this? Why is Austin Powers playing here?" but yeah, they do all kinds of cool events and stuff. I'd like to get more engaged with them. I know that they're doing oddities expos and things like that there too. They really do invest in the St. Louis community, artists in the St. Louis area as well. So yeah, it's a great theater, great people. And if you really want to get out and support a cause, let's go out and see Mando's work next weekend.
Thank you so much. 11th. I really appreciate it.
Do you know what time that event's kicking off, Mando?
Early.
Okay.
2 p.m. to 5 p.m. It's
there's nothing wrong with that.
I got
so
my
no
tickets
excuse
for
to miss it.
Scream at the Draft House at 7 o'clock that night. So I'll be able to hang out at the event, chill for a little bit, probably grab something to eat, and then I'm going to the Draft House to watch Scream. So fucking excited.
Hell yeah.
Draft House.
Have you had a chance to go to the Draft House in St. Louis yet?
I went to go see Knock at the Cabin, the new Shyamalan movie. Yeah. Oh.
Okay.
Very good. I've been to a Draft House before. The first one I ever went to was in L.A., and I saw Nightmare Alley. And then my wife and I went to Texas for my friend's wedding, and we saw X over there, which made sense. We saw X over in Austin.
Oh, dope.
Yeah, we saw. It was like, hey, we're in Austin. Yeah. Let's watch a Texas-based horror movie in Texas at the Draft House. Why not? And then my third experience at a Draft House was here in St. Louis. I'm so glad they built one. And we saw Knock at the Cabin, which was awesome. And I'm planning on going to see Scream. I'll probably see John Wick 4 there too. I fucking love the Draft House.
Yeah, so we're announcing this here right now, an exclusive, but we're going to have an exclusive ATI Podcast day at Alamo Draft House. We're being hosted by the public relations folks there, and we're going to be doing an interview with them.
It's going to be great.
So we're pretty excited about that. So doing a little something with Alamo Draft House.
And I will be on that episode, Barrett.
Nice. If you need an extra co-host, let me know. I'll be happy to go.
Absolutely. My wife's already volunteered her services. She hasn't been on an episode yet. I've tried to get her to Josh and I had this really funny idea is to have our wives actually just do the podcast, but us not tell anybody on one occasion. and they won't take us up on it. But now she has to do it because we're going to be at the Alamo
My
Draft
wife
House.
and I,
How dare she?
my wife and I had a very short-lived podcast called Cintroverts, about cinephile introverts, and
Okay,
yeah, and
there you go.
our whole thing was just talking about movies that were streaming and stuff you didn't have to go to the movies or leave your house to see. So we talk about all the stuff that's streaming, and yeah, and we
Sure,
just talked about
that's
like
pretty
just
good.
movie shit, like just geeked out for a couple hours and talked about directors and stuff.
Well, it sounded like it. It sounded like it was more like the human centipede version of having a discussion with somebody while you're eating their own shit.
Similar.
Which I would imagine is,
And that's marriage, folks, from Brandon.
yeah.
We're gonna make a clip of that one and share it online. Tag his wife. Okay.
Please do. What do you think our sexual exploits are in the bedroom?
So, Mondo, I also one last thing as far as your work's concerned that we just glazed on earlier, and that's the fact that you got to join the Dollar Baby Club with Stephen King's works, and that's the Boogeyman short that you did. And I think a lot of our listeners might be aware too that there's actually getting ready to be a Boogeyman feature coming out. I think it's a Blumhouse production this year that there's already a trailer out for. And naturally, as these things go, I think that's going to drive people back to your short that you did. I guess it's been about 10 years now. Is that right?
It's been about a little over 10 years. It's been about, exactly 10 years. 2013 is when it came out, when we made it. The funny thing is I have a Facebook page for it, for the Boogeyman, and it's been getting all kinds of likes lately and attention. It's like, your viewer rate has gone up 2,000% this week. I'm like, huh. I'm like, all right.
Holy shit.
So,
Wow.
contractually, due to my contract with Stephen King, I'm not allowed to post the movie in its entirety online, which is why it's not online. However, it is available with the password, so if you guys are interested, I'll be happy to send you a link. Yeah. And I'm sorry, I should have
Let's get that after the fact here.
We did this, so you guys could have seen it. I wasn't thinking.
That's
I wasn't
okay.
thinking about it.
Motherfucker! Get this
Your
guy
people
off
didn't
the
call
fucking-
my people. It didn't happen.
Get him
So
off the
now
camera
it's
right
better
now.
late than never. I'm sorry.
I gotta get onto Rory in the office.
Fired.
Rory,
No,
straighten your ass out.
I apologize.
That's my oldest daughter.
It's totally.
It's his publicist. Yeah.
Yeah, it's totally my bad. So I'm sorry about that. I should have irresponsible on my part.
It's all good,
but no,
my man.
that was.
How
Yeah,
fucking
that was,
dare you?
That was definitely an experience making that movie, and I'm still getting fucking mileage off it 10 years later, which is cool. I just came out in a book a year ago. That's at Barnes & Noble and everywhere else. It's a book on the Dollar Babies, and Boogeyman's featured in it. This was an interview with me, so it's like, fuck, I'm in a book, a published book. So
that's very cool.
Wicked cool.
Awesome, man.
How did that project come across your table?
Boogeyman?
That opportunity
Boogeyman?
to come to you specifically?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm a really big Frank Darabont fan. He who made The Mist and Shawshank Redemption and created The Walking Dead show, not the comic. And one of the first things he ever did was a Stephen King adaptation, the Woman in the White Room, and he was like the first Dollar Baby or whatever. And the Dollar Baby program is just something I'd heard about, which is for $1 you can option the rights to a Stephen King short story. Not any short story; it comes from an approved list of short stories. And I'd always been curious about it, and I guess it was after 8/13. I was like, I need to do something. I need to take my career up a notch. What's the next venture? Do I just make another short again? What do I do? And I don't know. I guess I was just reading the short story Night Shift collection from Stephen King, and I was like, man, some of these would make a really good story. The Boogeyman stuck out to me as a great story. And I was like, man, it'd be cool to make this. So I'm like, that Dollar Baby thing. So I just thought about it, and I looked it up online, and found the website for the Stephen King's Dollar Baby. It's on Stephen King's website. It's a little side thing. Anyway, Boogeyman was on the list. I'm like, holy shit, what if I made this? So you don't just get to make it. You have to apply for it. You have to write why you want to do it, what you would do with it, what your take is, and this, that, and the other. And you either get approved or denied. And I got approved. They asked for my dollar, so I paid them $1, and I had the rights for 1 year. It's like, okay, you have to make a movie within 1 year. You can't post it online, and you got to send Stephen King a copy. I'm like, okay, you're not asking for much, sure. So,
Yeah.
I gotta send Stephen King a copy. Oh,
yeah.
that's my
I'm
one
like, well,
Yeah.
because
Like,
I was like, well,
that was
because
the deal
Steve is
breaker.
asking for it, you know. No, but it was just so cool.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I never talked to him. I never had any interaction with him. It was just his office. But the fact that I was getting to play in this sandbox that very few don't get to play in was pretty fucking rad.
Sure.
So I was really excited about it. And
Hell
I
yeah.
just kind of stuck with the story, put my own spin on it, and crowdfunded and got some people involved, and we made it. And it was a fucking blast. It's just a really cool story.
Well, if you fake an illness, and do a Make-A-Wish Foundation, say that you're 6 years old, and say that you made like a video for him that he doesn't remember, and then next thing you know, you're meeting him for first hand.
It is weird knowing that
go.
I made something that is getting readapted and coming out on the big screen. Because I'm like, I guess
Pretty
I'm
cool,
allowed
man.
to have an opinion about this movie because I did it before. It's probably the only movie coming out that I'm like, I have an opinion. And mine matters because I did it before. Such a fucking
matters.
asshole.
It matters.
The guy that did Rob Savage, I fucking love his work. He made this movie Host, that movie on Zoom about the seance. He made that, and then he made this bonkers ass movie called Dash Cam that came out last year. So he's made found footage movies.
Sure.
So this is his first big narrative feature. So I'm excited to see what he does with it. He's awesome. He was on the Movie Crypt podcast, and
Cool.
I did viewer mail. I got to ask a question, saying hey, you adapted Boogeyman. I made one too, making it about me. And I'm like, what are your thoughts on the other adaptations? And he was like, yeah, it's been done so many times. We did try to go a slightly different direction, but we also stuck with the story too. So I'm excited to see what he does with it. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah.
That's good.
So.
Yeah, me too.
Out of curiosity, the fact that you, of course, had to send Stephen King a copy of your work, did you get any feedback?
I got tons of feedback, but not from him.
Oh, okay. I was just curious if he reached out to you personally. Now you got his digits. Maybe want to give us his digits.
Did you send him a line of coke, or did he send you a line of cocaine? Or?
No, it's like
his younger self did.
To my understanding,
back in time.
He doesn't usually reach out to people about those. I mean, and he's gotten so many, and he's gone on record saying I get so many of them, and some of them are really good, and some of them are really bad. And I've seen clips and trailers, and there are some that are, not very strong, unfortunately. And it's very possible that a lot of people think mine wasn't that strong. So, but I unfortunately.
I'm interested to watch and talk shit about your
tell
film.
you how big of a piece of shit it is. It's
give me that free password.
Yeah, it's just kind of like I didn't. I never got any correspondence with him. Never traded emails or notes or anything. Never heard from him. So I don't even know if he's seen it. I'm sure he has, but he didn't like it enough to reach out to me.
I would venture to say that he probably does. It's funny. I think it was just a few. It was over the summer, last summer, I guess, that he was on for. I forget the name of his last book. It's like Billy something. Yeah. It's like a kid's name or something. He was on Colbert's show in promotion of it, and Colbert was asking him his favorite adaptations of stuff, and I was just going back looking at stuff, and I was like, "Oh, it'd be wild if he mentioned something about Boogeyman here," and he didn't ever, but it was kind of interesting some of the things that he did pick. Because he said asked him for his top 5, and really the only kind of the bigger ones that was Stand By Me, of course, was in his top 5 of movies that had been adapted from his work. But there were some things that he pulled from that I didn't expect. But I mean, you have to think how long he's been around, how much of his stuff's been adapted. I mean, I think actually an underrated film from Cronenberg nobody ever talks about, Dead Zone. That's a Stephen King story as well. Starring Christopher Walken. It's fantastic. The acting's great. Yeah, wow, yeah. But yeah, definitely Stephen King, man. That's just to say you're a part of that world, even if you just brushed up against
Thank
it,
you.
man.
Yeah.
Kudos for sure.
I think it's
It's
yeah.
amazing.
That's something you should feel very highly. Yeah,
Thank you. Yeah,
that's great, man.
It's a great community to be a part of. I love talking with the other filmmakers and other people that are dollar babies, and it's just it's a really cool little club to be in. You know, it's fun, and I'm very again extremely grateful to have the opportunity to work with such amazing material. You know, so it was definitely a blast.
Yeah, he can make it easy for sure. So, Mando, we wanted to ask you some quick rapid fire questions to kind of close out our conversation today, just so our viewers get to know you a little bit better. Some of your preferences, the flavors of the ice cream that you like in cinema. First question I'm going to ask you is favorite film score or soundtrack of all time. What's one that stands out to you?
Danny Elfman's score for Batman '89.
Okay, very good. I like that. Good answer.
Yeah.
Psycho.
That's not
That's
a
a
bad
strong
answer.
Okay, yeah, that's another excellent one for sure. Yeah,
Mondo, we asked you for one, okay? We asked you for one. You gave us two.
Devil's Rejects, Tyler Bates. Howard Shore, Silence of the Lambs.
There we go. Keep them pumping. Favorite scream queen?
Actress or character? Okay.
Answer how you wish. Either way.
I would say, I don't know if it's a traditional sense, but Sigourney Weaver as Ripley from Alien. She's up there. And then obviously you got to pass over to Jamie Lee Curtis, Halloween. That's another one, you know.
Sure. Yeah, and she's had some other roles as well that you could throw into that. Most overrated movie of all time, in your opinion?
And I want to preface this. It's not. It cannot be Avatar: The Wake of Water that happens while you walk on water, while you're flying on animals that fly on water.
I will get killed if I tell you what I think, but fuck it, I'll tell you anyway.
No, please do, because I love controversial takes.
Yeah.
Labyrinth, David Bowie, Labyrinth.
I mean, look.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not the type of person that shits on other people's fandom. Like, if you like something, cool. I don't like it. I mean, here's the weird thing about me.
Sure.
I like almost everything. Like, there's very little I don't like. And Labyrinth is one of those things that I just never got into. You know? Rocky Horror, kind of the same thing. I haven't really been huge on Rocky. I mean, I like a lot of the music. It's fun. And the shows in person are a lot of fun. But it's just not for me. It's fun, but not for me. Labyrinth, more so because I just don't get it. And I love the Muppets, dude. I'm a fucking Jim Henson fan. But I just... doesn't do it. I like Bowie, man. I mean, Bowie's was fucking legend, but...
Yeah. Labyrinth I do like, but I can agree with you on the Rocky Horror Picture Show. I always felt like that was a little
cool.
overrated.
It's just not for me.
I got a viewer question I want to toss in.
Oh.
Yeah, we got on our Twitch, where our viewers are welcome to ask questions at any time. And we have a participant asking, what's your favorite body horror film?
Fuck.
Got a favorite?
That's a good one. Is it too on the nose to say Body Parts?
I mean, it's not the one I was expecting.
It's a deep cut.
I would say, I was hoping. I mean, Cronenberg's my favorite director of all time.
The Fly's
I would
up,
just probably give me like 3 Cronenberg
up
films.
there, but I don't know. Like the first thing that comes to mind with body horror is literally Body Parts. And I don't know if it counts, but Darkman is one of my all-time favorite movies, and there's some crazy shit in that movie too.
Yeah,
there
is for sure. Yeah, that's an outside of a box call, but yeah, I'm not going to throw.
Have you seen Body Parts?
I don't think I have seen Body Parts.
I have. I think we both watched it, Barrett. I think we watched it back in the fucking day, dude.
Yeah, it's
May have, I don't know.
Scream Factory
It's
came
not ringing
out.
a bell for
Scream
me at the
Factory
moment.
came out with a really cool Blu-ray release a few years ago, and I bought that like right away. Fucking love that movie.
Let me look this up.
Jeff Fahey,
Cool.
Yeah, it's not
the
ringing a bell
lawnmower
for
man
me.
himself.
Yeah, 91.
I
How about favorite B movie of all time? Got one?
I mean, I don't know. It's up there between. I don't know. Like, does Evil Dead count? Because a lot of people say it's a B movie, but it just feels so much bigger and better than that. People say it's like the ultimate B movie, but I don't know.
I mean, technically, yes, it is. I mean,
Yeah.
I would.
And do we just mean horror,
yeah,
just
sure.
in general? Because like I love some weird shit.
It could be in general.
Barry Gordy's
No,
Last Dragon.
anything in that realm.
Barry Gordy's Last
Okay.
Dragon's up there for me. Who's the master?
I would have.
Joe?
Plan 9 from Outer Space is one for me for sure.
Sleepaway
Yeah,
Camp.
absolutely.
I love Sleepaway Camp.
Sleepaway Camp. That's a good
fun.
one for sure.
God, it put me on the spot. I can't fucking think of anything right now.
I know. Sometimes it bears ripe fruit. Sometimes it doesn't. How about favorite genre, character actor? Anybody in particular? You're a big champion of?
This question, I was not expecting any of these. I mean,
Your favorite actor being Johnny Depp, who also starred in your favorite film called Tusk, and also played a pirate man.
well, Michael Keaton is my favorite actor of all time, like hands down. But genre actor, I don't know, man. Like Sid Haig was the fucking shit, dude. I fucking loved Sid Haig.
Yes, he was.
I really like character actors.
Yeah.
I like those smaller character actors that like the day players. I love those fucking dudes. Peter Jason is like in every Carpenter movie from They Live. No, Prince of Darkness on. I really like Peter Jason a lot. Most people don't know who he is. In Arachnophobia, he's the football coach. Yeah, and he's the soccer coach that kicks Daniel LaRusso off the field in the first Karate Kid movie. He's in The Mouth of Madness. He's in every Carpenter movie, essentially.
He's in Willow Creek also.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, he was in Willow Creek.
Yeah, the Bigfoot
Bobcat
movie.
Goldthwait movie.
A lot,
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I like those smaller actors.
He was
I like those genre actors that are really cool. I like Felissa Rose. I like Kane Hodder. Kane Hodder is probably pretty up there for me in terms of genre actors. I really like Kane Hodder. I think he's shown over the last 10 or plus years he's more than just a guy and he's more than just a stuntman. You know? Yeah, he's fucking solid, dude. I fucking love Kane Hodder. I really like my favorite Stephen King movie, and I wish he would do more horror, creepy roles, is Misery, and I love Kathy Bates. Like, she's so fucking killer, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Like, Kathy Bates is so fucking good.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing that beats her.
Yeah, that movie's up there for me. It's my favorite Stephen King movie.
She's one of the best ever.
Actually. And, fucking love her in that. Yeah.
Absolutely. And then maybe this one will go a little lighter on you. What's something recently that you've seen that you want to advocate for? Something that you think's great, maybe not on everybody's radar. What's something that you'd recommend everybody seeing?
Yeah.
A little more difficult than what Barrett thought.
I mean,
I don't know if you guys have heard of this show called The Last of Us. But
there were
you mean the show that everybody's talking about?
Last year, no one talked about. There were smaller movies. One of them, two of them are on Netflix. One is called Hustle with Adam Sandler when he plays a basketball scout. Movie's fucking solid. It's really good. He's great in it. Another one I liked is Aubrey Plaza's dramatic turn in a movie called Emily the Criminal. It's like a super indie crime thriller.
That is a
No one
fucking
talks about that one,
phenomenal
dude.
movie.
And that should have been nominated for so many fucking awards. Great
Phenomenal.
movie. Another indie that's on
Phenomenal.
Hulu is called Dinner in America. I really enjoyed that movie, and no one's talking about that one either. I mean, those are the things that are really standing out to me right now. Our Flag Means Death is an HBO show. I'm hoping keeps going. That shit's fucking funny. My wife got me into that one. I'd heard about it, but I was older, but she got me into
Hilarious.
it. I really enjoyed it. So, Our Flag Means Death is really funny.
It's kind of
I don't know if anyone's watched Tokyo Vice.
Very
on
good.
HBO, but that one's really good too.
I need to watch that.
That is actually the thing that pointed me and my wife. We have an opportunity to move to a different place here soon, overseas, and that is what solidified our wanting to go over to live in Tokyo. So that show alone was like enough for us to download the language app. I forget what it is. This starts with the B, and start learning Japanese, and we take regular lessons on that.
And then you just leave. It's like that.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's very true. Once I go east, I never come back. And we can't.
So Barrett, just you and me talking on the rest of this episode, right?
Yes. On future
There's
episodes,
this wicked cool movie. There's this wicked cool movie from the 90s set in Japan called The Hunted. Not to be confused with the one with Tommy Lee Jones and Benicio del Toro. It's with Christopher Lambert, Highlander, and Raiden himself from the early 90s. The Hunted.
Yeah.
Christopher Lambert plays an American businessman who has a one-night stand with this Japanese woman he meets in a bar. And she ends up being, like, murdered by this, like, ninja cult. And the leader is John Lone. He was the guy that played Shiwan Khan in The Shadow with Alec Baldwin. He's got that really great voice. Yeah.
Oh,
he plays the leader of this clan.
Yeah.
And they kill the woman, and they try to kill Christopher Lambert, but he survives somehow. And he's seen this guy's face. It's like, in hundreds of years, no one has ever seen the blah, blah, blah's face, and he's seen my face now. He has to die. So these ninja assassins are going after this fucker trying to kill him. And this other ninja clan takes him in to protect him, so he's in the middle of a ninja war. It's fucking dope. It's set in Japan, early 90s movie.
Oh my god.
So are you talking about future criminal Alec Baldwin, who is facing counts of
well, he's not in this movie, but yeah, brother to the great, brother to the great Daniel Baldwin.
To the great Billy Baldwin. Yeah, I was gonna. You went Daniel
or Steven
rather than Billy. Okay.
Steven, I will
pick
fucking
one. Just pick one.
I know we're not supposed to like the Baldwins or Kevin Spacey anymore, but I can't help it. I fucking love Usual Suspects. It's one of my favorite movies. And Steven,
dude, come on,
Steven
man.
Baldwin has never been better. Like that was like his best role, I think.
Yes.
Like he's so fucking awesome in that movie.
It's an incredible movie for sure. And hey, you forgot the one guy we shouldn't like either, Bryan Singer. Usual Suspects, right?
Yeah. The Z-word.
Yeah.
You actually peeked out. Whenever your reaction.
Well, Mando, tell the folks where to keep following you at social media wise so they can stay engaged with your future work and doings and know all the great things you have going on. What's the best way for people to follow you?
Facebook at Mando Franco. That's my name. MANDO FRANCO. You can find me on Instagram under L_Mandalorian. That's L Mandalorian. So L translated to English means the. So yes, I'm El Mandalorian.
There you go. Spanish 101, folks.
And find me in any of those. I have my
again. Explain the word Spanish.
You want to go there again? Really? Hey, you know what? I got something for you. What do you call two Mexicans flying a plane? Pilots, exactly.
Pilots.
Why? What else would you think it'd be?
I did.
Someone started sweating a little bit when that happened. Yeah, but if you follow me in any of my sites, I have my link for my website that's got links, and there's an email chain on there. You can email me or whatever. You want to talk shop? You want to talk movies? You want to whatever? I'm down. Next Saturday, I'll be over at the Arcadian / the Heavy Anchor, hanging out for the event. I'll be there. I'll be sipping on a Shirley Temple. So, yeah.
Shirley
folks,
Temple.
if you want to watch this guy over here, he's going to be fucking playing things. He's going to be rolling dice. No big deal.
He's like,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah, he's like
Shake it
fresh
down in
off
the alley.
set of NYPD Blue.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
hey, you want to go talk
Oh,
to that
I
guy? This
definitely
guy?
am, yeah.
That guy. We go talk to that guy, this guy, right? Whoa.
Yeah, this guy over there, these shoes,
These
these fucking
Funny
shoes.
Hal, like a
These
fucking
shoes.
clown. I make you laugh like Hal, like Funny Hal. Yeah. Yeah.
There you
Fucking
go.
guy over here.
Mondo, it was a pleasure speaking to you today. Thank you for
Dude,
all the time that you
thank
gave
you
us.
so
You've been
much
so
for
generous
having.
with your time.
I love hanging
Really
out and
appreciate
talking
it.
shop, so thanks.
Thank you all for sticking around after the break. And I would like to thank, once again, Mando Franco for coming on the show. I know several times I called him Mando Franco, but it's Mando Franco. And I'm accustomed to shoving my foot right in my mouth. So give the man his due diligence, Mando Franco. And it was really cool to learn about his background and, some of the things that inspired him to. Some of that I wouldn't have called for sure.
Most definitely, Mondo was great. I do want to point to what we're about to listen to after this little outro, which is it's a minute straight of Josh Welch moaning from the pain that he's enduring from COVID. And I do want to say that it's got a nice hint of anguish, which I quite enjoy.
Yeah.
A little bit of joy. Yeah.
I mean, we are those type of people that enjoy other people's anguish. And, as you've come to know and love and find out on the show, anybody who listens to us.
I feel a hint of Walmart as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, how can you not work at Walmart for a decade and not have a hint of that in your anguish?
The Waltons have gotten to you.
Yes, the Waltons
Josh.
have been up in them guts. Once or twice, I'd guess.
I cannot wait to listen to this fucking podcast after it's fucking edited. Just to hear you cry in pain.
We got a hot drop we're going to be bringing on. So we talked about it. Mando Franco, you can see him at the Arcadian Film Cinema, which is right next to the Heavy Anchor on Manchester there in St. Louis. It is from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. on March 11th, next Saturday. So this episode will be out plenty of time for you guys to catch it if you're looking for something to do. It's kind of in the middle of the afternoon, so it's done by evening. So if you've got other plans, it's doable. So if you guys want to check out Mondo's work, and again, they're showing XMASsacre there, which we, gushed over here, and hopefully we didn't ruin it for you. But seeing it is a different experience, and I really want to see it in this, medium in front of people, in front of an audience. Yeah. I think it's going to play very well to a crowd.
And what a great dude. He was not humble. I mean, let's be honest. He talks about himself a lot.
For sure.
He talked about himself like nonstop.
The whole time.
I mean, it's like, I'm in a book. I'm in a fucking Stephen King. I'm best friends with him. Oh my God. I'm sucking the dick of fucking a Brazilian butt whore. But it's not that big of a deal. He seems like a great guy, which should cater to all of you that pay attention to Kardashians. He's much like them in the sense that he has a bodily figure that we can all adore.
There you go. Straight from the Kardashian clan. Mando Franco. So next week, let's talk about what we got going on next week. Next week, we've got Tim Baltes, drummer, social media influencer, comedian. He's been a session drummer for Disney, Fox. He's had metal bands decades ago. The guy's fucking hilarious. He's a great drummer.
Yeah, he's great.
One of my favorite social media follows. He doesn't take himself too seriously, and he's super fucking talented. He's kind of like a triple threat. And another really cool thing that he's doing, which we'll get into, is he's doing some drumless tracks for people to, practice to, record videos to. He's just kind of creating content out there for people to use and consume, and then put their impression, their artistic spin on too. So I just think it's just really cool shit that he's doing, without question. And just really looking forward to that conversation. We're going to be shooting for about a 7:30, Central Standard Time, live feed cast over Twitch like we normally do on Thursday. But we'll have details about that on social media. And of course, we kind of hinted at it earlier. We've got a lot of new developments coming out. Hopefully going to be doing just nailing down the date here. Record store on site. We're going to do a what's on my bag style episode. Going to do some shopping there, talk about our picks, and then talk to the record store owners and do a small business feature as well. So looking forward to doing that. And we'll be announcing the dates and location on that here coming up. We talked about Alamo Drafthouse St. Louis. I have yet to see a picture there. I know everything I need to know about Alamo Drafthouse from Brandon, because Brandon went for years, would tell me all the time, oh, you got to go to one whenever you can. You got to go for one whenever you can. Well, right before COVID happened, they announced that St. Louis was going to get one. And because of COVID and everything else,
put it back in the fucking
back burner until it finally opened in December of last year. So it's only been open for a few months, and I'm really excited for the opportunity to get in, at their start essentially, and talk to them and people that are in charge of their communications and things of that ilk, and just kind of talk about what's unique about the Alamo Drafthouse, that cinema experience, and just everything that I know about it. And you can speak more on this, Brandon, is that it really does tap into what the theater experience should be about. It should be
100%.
Unique. It should be fun. Cinema should draw you out of your house into a theater, into this, this weird thing where you're in harmony with other people and you're all fixated on the same thing at once, So yeah, I think Alamo Drafthouse, their DNA is that. And so they do a lot of fun events and stuff.
It's the thing that reminds me of being a young kid again and going to a theater. It's unique in its own way, and me not being religious whatsoever, it drives me to go to the chapel that is a movie theater. It's fantastic.
Yeah. I'm just really looking forward to that opportunity and getting able to experience the Alamo Drafthouse experience firsthand, and also, routinely visit it, maybe make it a part of our family ritual, take the kids there and that sort of thing, especially for special events, like they fucking did a special Space Jam showing. They just do like the original, Michael Jordan one from the 90s. So they do a lot of cool stuff, cult film showings and stuff.
Space Jam.
Yeah, there you go. And they'll bring in directors or actors of old to talk about, films too. Sometimes you get surprises. So sometimes actors that star in things just show up at some of the opening nights and shit at Alamo Drafthouse. Yeah. So it's just a really cool experience. Can't wait to talk about it, get into the weeds with that. Also got to mention Waxing On is recording a new episode this weekend. We're going to announce the times. I think the boys are shooting for Sunday. They're going to have all new fresh weekly picks. And then they've also got some pretty cool concept episodes coming down the line that I will probably be collaborating with them on, that I think are some really good ideas that they're going to be detailing on this next episode of Waxing On. So don't miss Waxing On with RJ, Jake, and Ridge. They're going to be giving some fresh weekly picks. And this occasion, they will be reviewing the new See You Next Tuesday album. We had See You Next Tuesday on the first episode of this season of the ATI podcast. So this is their opportunity. The orders finally came in. They get to preview the vinyl with everybody and talk about the media cards and all that fun stuff, but then the music itself, the album itself. So looking forward to that episode. Tom Tickle, what you got going on?
Not shit, man. Just got that contest that I'm doing. I am looking forward to the Alamo Drafthouse episode, and I am looking forward to this fucking year, man. I'm going to be poking my head in there, even if Barrett and Josh don't want me in. I'll be joining the fucking chat, and I will be having a good time, man. I think the good thing about this is that the thing about the ATI podcast now is that Barrett is doing a fantastic job of reaching out to all these people that need a spotlight on them. And we're going to keep on doing it.
Yes, sir. That is the mission of the show without question. Speaking of spotlights, I know you made a sale here recently of your Dune diorama and got some great feedback. And it was an awesome piece anyways. I know I told you that previously, and all the praise was deserved. So guys, don't forget about Brandon's custom dioramas at Oz Imperius Emporium. Make sure you guys are following him on Instagram.
I appreciate it, Bear. Yeah. Dude that I may or may not have licked the asshole out of happened to buy a piece, and he says that it resembles my asshole. So,
well, there you go.
Dark, crusty, and has
same
a couple of
sandworm.
skulls in it. Yeah.
And a sandworm, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Definitely.
That's what we call it anyway.
For this week, I am Barry and Say on Instagram and Twitter. He's not Josh, of course, but he is Brandon Stuart. Again, follow Oz Imperius Emporium on Instagram. And we are out of time. Until next time, good night and good luck.
And go fuck yourself.
This is Barrett from the ATI Podcast. Each week, Josh and I discuss current events, pop culture, music, TV, movies, politics, sports. Nothing is out of bounds. You can also tune in to learn about rising artists, small businesses. Whether it's music, graphic design, filmmaking, or even a brick-and-mortar mom-and-pop shop, we will be spotlighting folks and their endeavors. Listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, Anchor, or anywhere you enjoy your podcasts. Just search ATI Podcast. We would like to thank you for your continued support, and as always, please stay safe out there.
Hey, this is Josh from ATI Podcast. For show updates and news about the podcast, follow us on social media. You can follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/ATI Podcast 22, on Twitter at podcast_ATI, on Instagram at the ATI Podcast, on TikTok at ATI Podcast. DMs are always welcome. Have a question for the show? You can always email us at atipodcastquestions@gmail.com. Stay safe out there.